So yeah, welcome everyone. This is going to be a Punarvasu video by Pai team. First, I'll invite EUG to start with a prayer. Please go ahead, EUG.
ॐ गणपतये नमः। ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ ऐं सरस्वत्यै नमः। सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणी नमोऽस्तु ते। ॐ सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणी नमोऽस्तु ते। नारायणी नमोऽस्तु ते। नारायणी नमोऽस्तु ते।
Yes, enjoy Diwali. Great, awesome. So let me share my slide. So Punarvasu, why are we doing Punarvasu first of all? Our main Jupiter is in which nakshatra? I think now our team has been aligned with Jupiter's planetary motion in nakshatras, So Jupiter is in Punarvasu, in Cancer, slowly going to its 5 degrees of his exaltation, and now it's in Cancer. So maybe Jupiter is asking us, demanding, "Hi team, come on, do the Punarvasu." So today is what? October 21st, 2025, around 10 p.m. here at San Marcos. It's 9:30 right now, but I just made a chart. So this is what the planetary positions look like, of course. It's half an hour. It's 9:30 right now here, 9:30 p.m. So ascendant will be slightly different, but other than that, this will be the chart. Jupiter in the third house, communication, Punarvasu. Anyway, good. Punarvasu, as we know, is a nakshatra of Lord Ram. So, and being Diwali, what better day we could select to do Punarvasu Nakshatra. See, that's why I say we never plan. And I never realized also when I put this line. Now I realize it's a Diwali day and it's a Lord Ram's Nakshatra. Jupiter is in Punarvasu, that too in the Cancer. I think this is the best day to do Punarvasu. And what is today? 21st October. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 is what planet? 21st October, correct? 2 plus 1, 3. 3 is also Jupiter. So yeah, perfect. Okay, what is Punarvasu? So Punarvasu occupies which house? Gemini and Cancer. So it's a natural nakshatra, or it's a nakshatra which occupies the natural third and fourth house. What are the themes associated with third and fourth house? We all know communication, writing, IT, siblings, patience, courage. These are all third house themes. Home, land, property, real estate, mother, fourth house themes. So Punarvasu will be, all these themes somehow will be related to Punarvasu. What it is, how it is, we are going to see in the coming slides. Who is the deity of this nakshatra? Deity of this nakshatra is Aditi. Now, Aditi comes a lot in Rigveda. She is the mother of all gods. All Adityas have come from Aditi, in fact. All the Dwadash Adityas, the 12 Adityas. Moreover, she is also the mother of Vaman avatar. Vishnu, when he was taking the Vaman avatar, he came he came from Aditi gave birth to Vamana. Okay, so she, including all those 12 Adityas, she's also the mother of Vaman. She's a wife of Rishi Kashyap. Kashyap has many wives. We have Aditi. All Adityas came from. We have Diti, where all Daityas came from. And Kadru and Naga, all those, all from Sarpas and all, they came from Kadru and Naga, and many other. I think there are so many wives. There's a whole family of Kashyap. I had that picture. Right now I don't, but yeah. She's also the goddess of the sky, sky. Remember, when I was doing some research on Punarvasu, so many space-related themes have come with Punarvasu. I never thought about it. And I will give you examples of that. And I was thinking, why so many space-related, space missions, space-related stuff? And all the people associated with space you can think of in your mind, you will be seeing those. I have their slides later in the presentation. Because why? Because Aditi is nothing but goddess of the sky. She is a nurturing figure. Now, personification of the sky, personification of vastness, cosmos, infinite, fractals. These are all associated with Punarvasu Nakshatra. Now, Aditi being the mother of all gods, of course, naturally, it is all the mother tendency. The fourth house themes gets again important. So this is a very nurturing nakshatra Nakshatra is a very nurturing figure, or some all those aspects comes into picture for Punarvasu Nakshatra. Okay. We will see what some of the aspects of Aditi. In Shatapatha Brahmana, she is invoked during ritual sacrifice offerings synonymous with earth. It's like you can say, we say earth as mother, correct? Bhumi Mata. She is also another type of Mata, Deva Mata. You can say her. So she comes in the reference of Shatapatha Brahmana. Now, some people say Aditi also has a mount called a phoenix. Some people say that she rides on a, I think, on a hen or a, like
Yeah, rooster, yeah. So you showed
rooster.
that
Yeah,
picture before, yeah.
yeah, he had a picture. So she says that some says that Aditi's mount is also phoenix, and with on the phoenix she rides and goes to the boundless, and she travels all over the sky. Again, the theme of cosmos coming into picture. And Narakasur stole Aditi's earrings, and then Lord Krishna comes and returned to it. So is there earrings? When I saw you heard earrings are what? Third house again, Punarvasu Nakshatra. So there was some connection with that. But think about Aditi, what type of figure, what qualities she will have as a mother, and then you can come to know a lot about this nakshatra's properties or this nakshatra's characteristics. Okay. Now, is there a temple for Aditi? And then I came across this temple where we have ancient rock cut temple at Villingam in Kerala. I was not knowing this. Did Sandeep, you know? It's near,
Yeah, no,
very
no,
near
but
to.
yeah, very near to the big port actually. So it's interesting about that. Viljam is going to be a big port in the future. So that
Oh,
is very
really?
interesting. Yeah, big ship port kind of thing is going to come there.
Okay.
And some good things are there on transport and all that. Yeah.
So it's very near to Nayatinkara. Nayatinkara is basically the south of Thiruvananthapuram, very close to the Kerala Tamil Nadu border. If you go from Karnataka, Nagarcoil, and then you go to Trivandrum, there you have a stop called Nayatinkara. Nayatinkara, very near to Nayatinkara, we have this place. And there's an ancient rock cut temple dedicated for Mother Goddess Aditi. The only temple I think, I don't know if there's any other temple in India for Aditi. Okay, and the
Yeah,
whole
I think
complex is
there's
of.
one more somewhere up north actually, if I'm not mistaken. That's also there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And they say that this temple is it's a whole complex where there are some Shiva temple of 8th century, and there is one small shrine dedicated for Aditi. I don't know if you have gone there. Maybe Sandeep, you should try to visit there
Yeah, definitely.
and and say hi to goddess Aditi. I don't know. There's one small image idol there, but I cannot see it here clearly. It was not there, but that's why I never knew about it. So little bit south of Trivandrum, you have a temple. Okay. Now, Aditi is frequently mentioned in the Rig Veda, which represent infinite, boundless, cosmic expanse. As I said, it's all related to the sky and all. And there's also one thing which says in the story that Daksha came from Aditi and Aditi came from Daksha. So what is this? Father coming from a daughter and a daughter coming from father. And it says that it shows the eternal cycle of rebirth of the divine essence and divine wisdom. Punarapi Marana, like the cycle of birth. Like it's not everything is a cycle. That's what the theme is basically. What is the symbol of Punarvasu Nakshatra? It's the bow and the quiver of arrows. When I say it's a nakshatra of Lord Ram, what is Lord Ram having? I was always having Kodanda Ram. He's also always having a bow and arrow. And the symbol of that is, of Punarvasu Nakshatra, is also bow and a quiver of arrows. Planetary rulers, as I said, this is a 3 padas of this nakshatra comes in Gemini sign, and 1 pada goes into Cancer sign. Okay. And the Rashi Lord is basically, since it's in the first pada, second pada, third pada, comes into the Gemini sign, lot of Mercury aspects. The 4th pada comes in the Cancer sign, whose Lord is Moon. That's why I put Moon here. Punarvasu, the planetary deity, as per the Vimshottari Dasha analysis, different dashas will have different nakshatras, will have different planetary lords, but as per Vimshottari, it is Jupiter is the ruler of this nakshatra, as per Vimshottari Dasha analysis. And what are the Navamsha signs? The first pada of Aditi will correspond to Aries, its mass. Second pada will correspond to Taurus, so Venus. Third pada will correspond to Gemini. And the 4th pada will correspond to Cancer. So that's why Mars becomes the Navamsha Lord for the first pada. Venus becomes the Navamsha Lord for the second, Mercury for the third, and Moon for the fourth. What combinations you can see? There are a lot of Mercury and Jupiter combination. What are these planets? Both are intellectual planets. Very highly intellectual planets, in fact. Mercury is intellect, Jupiter is wisdom. So all those things are bound for this. Mercury, business. All this comes from Mercury. Intellectual communication, logic, everything comes from the Mercury, business. Jupiter is for learning, knowledge, wisdom. And the 4th pada is very special. Why it is very special? Because first of all, it is a Vargottam pada. Because the Navamsha pada is also Cancer, and the sign is also Cancer. The fourth pada, correct? Yes. And also Pushkara Navamsha. It's also the Pushkara Navamsha. So it's a basically very benefic aspects. Fourth pada. Remember, Lord Ram was born in the fourth pada of Punarvasu. So he was born with, I think these gods take very special signs to be born, I guess. So somehow Krishna was born in the second pada of Rohini, they say, and then this Lord Ram was born in the fourth pada of Punarvasu. Okay, so very special pada. Fourth pada is very special. What are the sounds of this nakshatra? Ke, ko, ha, hi. Ke, ko, ha, hi. You know, these are the sounds for Punarvasu. So all ke, ko, ha, and hi. And Dr. Pai will say today what happened before we started the video of Punarvasu. That's something secret I'm going to keep, and Dr. Pai is going to reveal what Punarvasu Nakshatra themes are playing for us. Whenever we do video, you people all see us doing a video, but then background, what all things happen. Without no plan, nothing, the nakshatra comes alive. So, and he will say about that. Interesting thing, phenomena happened with Dr. Pai. I think all Punarvasu themes became alive for him. Okay, what are the sun transits dates? Now, Gemini, it spans from what to what? Punarvasu Nakshatra spans from Gemini 20 degree to Cancer 3 degree 20 minutes. And when the sun transit, July 5th to July 20th. This is the time when the sun transits. So around July month, mid-July, that is when sun is going through Punarvasu Nakshatra. What are the nakshatra? As I'm an astronomer, of course, how can I leave, astronomy? So there are two main stars. What is Gemini? Gemini is what? We know it's the twins. So two. So you can see this, two boys here hanging, face, body, hand, two legs are dancing guys here. Can you see those figures?
Yeah, we can, yeah.
This person. So twins. One is called as Castor, one is called as Pollux. Castor and Pollux are the two yoga taras of Gemini Nakshatra. In the sidereal system, their Castor is about 26 degrees Gemini and Pollux is about 29 degree Gemini. Okay. And if we consider, as we know about the precision of the Earth's axis, right now the spring or the vernal equinox is at Uttar Bhadrapada Nakshatra, and it shifts every 1 degree in 72 years. So if you go back like that, between 5,438 to 6,392 BCE, that is about 6,000 years before the, I think 6,000 years before the Common Era started. That means 8,000 years from now, the vernal equinox was at Punarvasu Nakshatra. Okay. So that's, I wanted to say some story. I was attending this conference last with Dr. Raj Vedam. In fact, maybe this time also we are going to have a conference by from Hindu University of America, where myself and Eve G and Dr. Raj Vedam are going to talk about it. And we have made a promotional video. You will get it. Try to see it. I don't know. Maybe I will bring at this point, Eve G, if you would like to say about the our retreat that we are planning in few sentences. Maybe this is the right time since I bought that here.
Oh yeah, Togiji, I would just say that they should see the promotional video, and they can go to the HUA website as well. But yeah.
So I will say about that, we are planning from December 11th to 14th this year retreat, where Evji is going to talk about Falita aspects of it. I'm going to talk about astronomy aspects of it. And Dr. Raj Vedam is going to talk about historical aspects of the Indian astronomy and many facts. And this one example which I'm going to talk is from last year's retreat. And it is from December 11th to 14th. So if you plan, come around by afternoon of December 11th and plan till December 14th afternoon. If you plan to come, we have made a promotional video where we did talk about this. So look into that and plan accordingly. It's less than 2 months and very cheap. In fact, it's very cheap.
And we only have 50 spots. We cannot go over 50 attendees, and we already have some registrations. So that's an important part. I don't know if either of us, maybe you did mention, but yeah, we can't take over 50.
Yeah, because we have we are going to see from telescopes also. So that's why we are capped to only 50 people. But anyway, we will see a lot that in promotional video, but let's come back to what example. So Dr. Vedamji was saying that there was a text where they mentioned gods got confused and they wanted to know when to start the ceremony, the religious ceremony. So they all went to their mother, who is Aditi, and they consulted her. Okay, when we have to start, we are like, because of the something. Now what that something was, maybe due to precision of Earth's axis. and they don't know when to start the religious thing. So the Aditi, the mother said, all the ceremonies has to start and end with me. Something she said that. What does that mean? That means that during at that time when this conversation was happening, the spring equinox was at Punarvasu Nakshatra. So that means that event would have happened about 8,000 years from now, around 6,000 BCE. Okay, so all the nakshatra and all should be start when Punarvasu Nakshatra is at exact east. Now, what is exact east? When the vernal equinox, that point is the exact east, when it rises. And it should start from me when Aditi is saying, who is Aditi? The deity of Punarvasu Nakshatra, which means the vernal equinox is in Punarvasu Nakshatra. That happened when? 8,000 years from now. So around 6,000 BCE. So that tells you how we could code those texts, Rigveda texts. So these are some of the examples which you will be hearing from Dr. Vedam a lot when you come to this retreat. So, and different aspects of it, how he makes those. It does talks, man, there are many things he talks about it. I'm not going to steal the show, what he has to say, but how he could relate all this antiquity of Indian astronomical text from really the scientific data, which has been now been publishing in Nature and all those things. He did show some examples of that. And it's again, they all need nakshatra background stories. So nakshatra is important, like they all have to know nakshatra there, because sometimes Yama is trembling and all. What does that tell you? Which nakshatra is coming? Yama is shaking, trembling and all. Bharani nakshatra comes into picture. So you will need to know nakshatra's background. So that will be fun to see. Only when you have these aspects of both astronomy as well as some of the nakshatra background theory and all, then you could connect both and then it works. Then you could really appreciate the subject, I will say. Anyway, coming back to Punarvasu. So far, good. Am I going too fast? Sometimes I feel that I go very fast.
That's
after
all,
when
so
I
good, Aditya. Yeah, I think just continue on. Yeah, great.
So what happened when what happened at 6,000 BC when vernal equinox was in Punarvasu? It's called as a final stage of the last glacial period. Okay, and the rising sea levels, agriculture, nurturing factor. Agriculture really was growing at that time. Domestication of crops started like wheat, barley, potato, squash, and all those. Yeah, I had a very nice opportunity. I should say you this. Just 3 weeks back, I had an opportunity to go to UT Austin. Okay, there was some conference and I did go there. So after we had a dinner at the conference, and there was this one guy who talked about his main area was dinosaur paleontology. And then he was like, okay, after dinner and all, we had a nice, fun presentation. He said, okay, now let's imagine that you are in that dinosaur age. What? Now there was no crops, there was no grass grown like rice. You don't have all those. What you will eat? If you want to drink, you don't, because you can't drink beer because beer needs barley and all. You don't have that. So what you will do? How will be your lifestyle? So he took us in that way, and he was telling us what crops was there, how you will live, what spices. Well, there were mushrooms there. He said, there were mushrooms, so you could eat mushrooms. You cannot make beer and all. No carbohydrates. What it will be? How will you survive? So he was telling, it was very nice thing. So I realized there was no potatoes and squash grew after that. It came much later, not during the time of um, dinosaurs. Of course, you could eat meat because meat hunting was common. Uh, but and then it was nice. Now I don't remember what all he said, but it was very funny to say, okay, you want to have some exotic thing today. What you will do? Okay, some blood of this and all. That's all available at that time. You don't have fruit juice and all. Unfortunately, that's there like during that period. So it was nice thing to see. It was after dinner, a fun talk basically. It was some astronomy conference, and they had this.
Yeah, at least mushrooms were right. So those cavemen probably became high or something. So probably that
I
kind of thing
don't
might
know
have happened. So yeah.
about that. What type of mushrooms we don't know whether it was.
Right, true, yeah.
But remember, that was the time when these crops were growing. Why crops were growing at that time? Because what is Punarvasu? Gemini, Mercury, green color, crops, all those things were coming at that time. Now, Punarvasu Nakshatra, as I said, is the month of July when the sun is in Punarvasu. It's the peak rainy season in India. Farmers and all are busy growing crops and all everywhere. So it really correlates with the theme of Punarvasu Nakshatra, how it is. After Ardra comes the Punarvasu. So a lot of crops, greenery, plantation, and what is mother does? Aditi is the mother of all gods. What is her job? What is her job? To nurture children, give food to the children. Right? This is what we are going to do. Food, crops, and all. That's what another very important thing which I saw. Very funny thing. We said that Pollux and Castor are the two bright stars of this nakshatra, right? Punarvasu, twin stars. Pollux is the brightest star, 34 light years away. It's the mass is 2 times the mass of sun and 9 times the radius of the sun. Pollux is one star, but the other one is very strange. Castor. Now, what is Castor? Is the other star. Now, Castor, it's not just one star. I don't know whether I could see this here or where is that? So interestingly, what is that? Castor is like there are not one star. There are 3 stars in Castor. Castor A is a primary star, then Castor B and Castor C. So there are Castor, you can see this Castor A, Castor B, and there's one more Castor C. So there are 3 stars, and each of these 3 stars has one more partners. So there are total how many stars? 6 stars, correct? 3 main stars. Of course, one is really the main, second is little bit less bright, third is little bit much more bright. So these are the 3 main, and each 3 of them has like one partner. You got the idea? Make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, now you all came here. I could see them. Where is it? Punarvasu, correct? Repetition.
Right.
Got it. Okay, so there are how many stars? 3 main stars, and each one has got their own partners. So there are basically how many stars? 6 stars. Did you get the idea? 6 stars totally.
Yeah.
6 stars, and see this picture. How many people are here? Lord Ram and Sita, 2. Lakshman, 1. With Hanuman, 2. And then Bharat and Shatrughan. So it's like when I see this Castor star, and when I see Ram's Darbar, this photo is called Ram Darbar, right? Darbar of Ram. 6 people there and 6 stars there too. Exactly resembling like Castor family. So it looks like, and this is the nakshatra of Lord Ram. So it tells me that Castor A is like the prime Lord Ram, and the partner that is going is like Sita for that. And then Hanuman and Lakshman. So it looks like the 6. I just made up that. I don't know whether it is true, but exactly resembles like the Ram. Castor constellation itself resembles like a Ram Darbar to me. Is that a coincidence? Maybe. Who knows? You got the idea? Make sense?
Yeah.
That was, and this is all Castor A. This is a partner of Castor A star. This Castor B, the next dominant, his partner, and then Castor C are almost the partner, and Castor C's partner almost similar. When you compare our sun, it's like this compared to them. Our sun is much smaller compared to Castor A and all. They are the size of sun is very similar to Castor CA and CB. Just to comparing the sizes. If you take a powerful telescopes and see the Castor star, you may see this type. You can't see the 6 stars, but at least you could figure out that there are 2 stars. Okay, so this is what the story of Castor is. What are the Punarvasu characteristics? The star of renewal. Its power is to gain or receive objectives, ability to grow, air or wind is the basis above, basis below is rain or moisture, desire is to produce herbs and again herb and trees. Lot of vegetation and cultivation and forest aspects are coming in Punarvasu. Pasutva Praprana Shakti, power to gain or receive objectives or ability to gain wealth, revitalization of plants, again plants. So very much connected with the plants and forest area and all those. Purushartha is Artha, Gana is Deva, Trimurti is Brahma, animal is female cat. Chara Nakshatra, movable Nakshatra. Remember Aditi, she's traveling everywhere. So it's a very movable Nakshatra. Bird is Swan. What is the tree of this Nakshatra? Bamboo. Okay, bamboo is tree, and remember, bamboo is not a plant, it's a grass, they call. Bamboo is a grass. It grows rapidly and it produces more, it says it produces more oxygen. Now, when I was thinking about this, more oxygen it produces. So what is oxygen? Jupiter is what? Jupiter is a nakshatra of this, the planetary lord of this nakshatra, Jiva element. Okay, inhibit soil. Bamboo, we know, we have bamboo houses. And so bamboo is used to make house, building, roads, bridges. What is those? Which house is house? Building, 4th house. What is in the 4th house nakshatra? Punarvasu occupies the 4th house in the Kal Purush chart. Make sense? We have seen bamboo rods in India. Whenever we have to paint the buildings, they will make bamboo structures. Whenever you want to paint a building and all, they
Big
will tie
scaffolding
bamboo.
kind of thing with bamboo,
Scaffolding. It's all bamboo again. Again, used for construction and house and painting buildings and all those. Again, bamboo coming. Bamboo is again Punarvasu Nakshatra. Used to make furniture, paper, Of course, we also have medicines, kidney related, venereal and bone related, bamboo clothes. Now they make clothes now with bamboo, you know. And even for food, have you eaten those vegetable bamboo shoots? They make bamboo stem. They make those vegetable. My mother used to make. I never used to like. Still remember my mother. Yeah, I never liked that. Yeah, but my mother used to make the bamboo shoots. She used to make vegetable of that, so you could eat that. So it's also used for food, nurturing. You know. So it's used. It's very common thing. I don't know. Have you heard? Anyone has heard about those bamboo vegetable, like the stem?
No,
It's a
I've not
common.
had it, but I think I heard about it. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't heard it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's people may not heard, but they do it. Yeah, I remember someone taught my mother back in India. Anyway, there is also World Bamboo Day. Yeah, I was not knowing this. There's a World Bamboo Day celebrated on September 18th. So I was thinking, what is this? And is there anything with Punarvasu? So then I said, okay, let me look when it was. The first celebration happened on September 18, 2009. And it was location started in Bangkok, Thailand. And the purpose is to promote awareness of bamboo's environmental, economic, and social benefits. And if I take the chart of that day on September 18, 2009, I have Mars in Punarvasu and Saturn is aspecting that Mars. Saturn, planet of what? Masses. Saturn is aspecting. So that's why we say, I don't know, it was very interesting to see that on that day, we have World Bamboo Day. So every year on September 18th is World Bamboo Day. Remember Punarvasu. And I was like, what is September 18th? September 18th is something, it's not Punarvasu. I don't know what is in the Navamsha Nakshatra and all. I don't know. I did not go into that depth. But on that day, on 2009, Saturn was looking Mars, and Mars was in Punarvasu. And that was the first time they celebrated that. And from then on, we celebrate every year. So another coincidence. I just say coincidence, but you know what I mean to say. Female cat is the animal symbol of Punarvasu. You know how cat, so to know that this theory, to understand this nakshatra, think about this animal, female cat, how they are with so care and comfort, the cats will be for their kittens, So that's the animal symbol of this. What are the careers for this? They are very creative and communication careers, of course. Third house, what will you expect? Spiritual, Jupiter, Jupiter nakshatra, spirituality teaching is automatic. Scientific and technical role, scientists, space and satellite professionals, architects, civil engineers, you will find, because again, Jupiter and Mercury is coming into the picture. That's why Mercury, business, entrepreneurship, sales, import, export, you will find a lot. Third house effects, marketing techniques, travel, tourism, third house, again, tourism, again, travel, and target shooting, they say. Now, honestly, what is this target shooting? Then I remember, the symbol is bow and arrow. You see? Punarvasu natives, mother can, as I said, what are the themes related to that? Nourishing, spiritual teaching, welfare of humanity, communication. So it's a little bit similar. Let's talk about personalities. So we all know he's very famous these days.
Yeah, very, very famous, right? Yeah.
Yeah. What he has? Venus and Saturn both are in Punarvasu Nakshatra. Okay. He has come second time as a president, much more powerful, in fact. I did not say. we are hearing news every day. Okay. And Venus is in Punarvasu, Saturn is also in Punarvasu. Both Venus and Saturn are very close to each other, in fact. And should I say, I don't want to say anything. We all know what's happening. And
Because everyone's going to think of Venus, Saturn in the 12th and all this. But if you use nakshatras for electional astrology, for electional Jyotish, the fact that he's in Guru Dasha, we have to put Guru as the first house. This is actually Brihadvar Shastra, a very simple thing he says to do. Examine the position of the grahas from the Dashapati. You're going to see that Shukra and Shani go into the 11th and they wake up. They're stimulated. And what is special about Venus, Shani, and Punarvasu? Shani is Ayush Karaka, and Shukra is the Karaka, the indicator of Sanjivani, the ability to resurrect. So it's a very powerful yoga through nakshatras only, not through Rashi, through nakshatra only. So it's actually very regenerative, to Togiji's point.
yeah, so he's perfect example. And he came when in 2016, correct? Very close to Jupiter See, remember, he became the first time when I think 2016.
Yeah, 2016 actually. Yeah. Jupiter Rush was when he got elected, and Jupiter Venus was
Correct.
when he got elected twice, second time.
Yeah. So it was 2017 he hold the office, right? From 2017, yeah, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. Yes. So I think Punarvasu blessings, man. That's that exact time when Jupiter started for him.
Yeah, Ladhu Baba, I tell you guys know me well. I don't get political. Like I don't have a preference. I don't do that. But I did see this chart and that yoga in the 11th from the Dashapati, that's very, very strong.
Yes.
Very strong.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see many things, right? How he forces people to go back to their home and all that. Shani and Punarvasu and all that kind of thing, So yeah.
Exile, yeah.
But note, Ketu is coming close to Lagna office. I don't want to go. Anyway.
Yeah.
This is Punarvasu video. Let's but anyway, prime example. What Trump Towers concept, all his business, and his business also failed multiple times, and then he came back again. Trump Towers and all those property and all those abundance. Aditya's abundance, wealth, nourishing, all those
How many
things.
times bankruptcy and just
Yes,
recovers,
yes.
resurrects.
I don't know how many times, twice, thrice. I don't
And
know.
it was multiple times, and lawsuits and just foe after foe, attack after attack, and the guy just resurrects.
Yes.
Doing it. That's not, I have no opinion. For me, it's the data.
Yeah.
And yeah. And I believe was Mangal, I think, transiting that 11th from the Dashapati too. And that's even stronger. The Mangal Shani can make someone very victorious. So anyway, just from a data point, guys, this guy just keeps coming up and going like that.
But definitely he has Punarvasu's energies. So
It's one of the billionaire nakshatras as well. Very common for business and all of this stuff. So it's the whole story. Yeah. Real estate.
right now he's running Jupiter Venus too. So
Yeah.
currently. So Venus again is in Punarvasu. So and he came second time. So very, very, very close. So anyway, Punarvasu team playing with him. Aditya is very happy with Donald Trump, I guess. So great, awesome, good for him. Then I said Punarvasu is very much related to space, correct? And I was looking space, Yuri Gagarin Vostok 1. Vostok 1, first spaceship launched by a human was Vostok 1, and that was on 12th April 1961. Flight lasted for 108 minutes. The first flight lasted for 108 minutes. Is it a coincidence? 108, we know. Special number, correct? 108 is a special number for us. And Vostok 1, which was launched on 12th April 1968, that flight also. So the first flight was for 108 minutes, guys. So again, a magic number. Okay, anyway, on that day, I don't know the exact time, but anyway, is there something in Punarvasu? We don't know about ascendant, so we don't know about time, forget, but Mars. Mars is, as Deepji also mentioned several times, Mars is science and all. We have a lot of Mars. Science, Mars is a very scientific planet actually. Punarvasu, Mars was in Punarvasu.
Physics.
Physics, yeah, space.
Yeah.
Yuri Gagarin, we all know, the first man, space and all, very famous guy. Remember, it was not Russia. At that time, it was Soviet Union, USSR. So why? Punarvasu is what? Nakshatra of space, cosmos, infinite, all those things. Playing a picture. Do we have some more? Yeah, we do have many more examples.
Togiji, this is an interesting point you're highlighting here about technology.
Yes.
I mean, we see Guru because he's a Kash Tattva. We see Guru involved in a lot of tech people.
Yes.
But what's fascinating is the whole weapons element with Punarvasu, divine weapons in the story of Sri Ram. I'm just recognizing this here. There's some pattern with this tech.
Oh, wait, weapons. You're saying something. Slide is coming. I have that. I have that slide too. You brought a good point. Good point. It's coming. I will bring you there. Just wait. Two slides more. You have pointed a very good thing. Elon Musk. This guy. What do you see? Again, Punarvasu ascendant Mercury. What is Elon Musk doing? Sending all to space. All we all know. So
And
again,
the wealth element, guys, is he the wealthiest man in the world?
Yes.
Because Punarvasu is the most abundant in the Rig Veda. So I was wondering about that.
He's
So
wealthiest man. Yesterday only I saw somehow there was something the wealthiest man, his name came out to be the first one.
okay, got it.
Yes. Okay. And space guy, right? Well known for space guys and all.
Yeah, the SpaceX, right? Yeah.
Yes. This is this German V2 rocket. First rocket to reach space. It reached space only 176 kilometers. Of course, this is 1944. Remember, 1944 is a time of war, World War II. So we were fighting Germany, Germany was Hitler and all was there. And that time we sent the first German V2 rocket, and it was not far, just 176 kilometer, but that was like first time we ever went into space on June 20th, 1944. I don't know the exact place in Germany, but I just put some place, date, some time, and what we see. We don't have Punarvasu here, but lot of
We do. I just put it in the chat. I didn't want to interrupt you again. It's hemmed. I remember I always speak about hemmed nakshatras.
Yep.
It is hemmed between Shani and Rahu.
Yep. It's between Shani and Rahu. And
So
lot
you
of
look to Guru to define it.
and lot
The
of
dispositor, yeah.
yeah, and lot of Mrigashira aspects. Mrigashira Nakshatra is again what? Mass. And Mrigashira likes to. So this is more of Mrigashira aspects. I forgot to bring this in. I wanted to bring this in Mrigashira, but yeah, point of Punarvasu Hem Nakshatras, and also about Mrigashira, Mass Nakshatras. And you see what that dates corresponds to so well with Mrigashira theme. Mrigashira is what? Going into some space like animal, Mrigashira going like deer basically. And it's like so nicely fits into those. I just thought you could.
Searching.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. But Mangal nakshatras, they're very technical. You're
Very
absolutely
technical.
right. They're very technical, but this is a classic example. Again,
Yep.
it's funny that you intuitively did that. It's him, Punarvasu. Yeah.
Yep. Is only this rockets and spaceships? No, we also have teacher. Remember, Jupiter's Nakshatra. We all know him, Ramana Maharishi. Ramana Maharishi has got what? What else you want to have? Moon and Ketu both in Punarvasu. So Ramana Maharishi, very great teacher. Jupiter, significant of Jupiter and all. And both Ketu, no doubt. You know how Ramana Maharishi was. You should read about him.
Ladhu Baba, I think he lived very much like the Rishis in the old days as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
In Ram's story, lived very much like isolated, right? Or and removed in nature. And is that moon Vargotham? I think the Midun Pada, the Gemini is Vargotham.
Yeah, second one is
Is
Vargotham.
Vargotham. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah. So Ramana Maharishi, exactly fitting the theme of Jupiter. Winfrey Oprah. She is the host, actor, author, media, best communicator. This is richest black woman. Again, abundance. And if you put in the Google, she's known for she's the most richest black woman.
Yeah, she
And
also launched a lot of books and all that. Her Oprah's book list would be famous and so forth. Yeah.
she's well known for speak. I never, frankly speaking, even I've never seen not much of her videos and all, but it's very, I think the communication is very effective, it seems, liked by people a lot. So I don't know, but what she has in Punarvasu, Ketu.
Great example of Ketu not being harmful immaterially. It could remove people's fear. I love that.
Right.
It's a very powerful Ketu. It's also that Vargotham Pada.
Yep. And all these planets are looking again. You see how that aspects.
Danishta is really strong too. It's a strong chart. Yeah.
Strong
And
chart.
again, yeah, very strong. Yeah.
But again, your point, abundance coming into the picture. Yes. So richest woman. What else we have? Okay, we know this person. What he has, Apple communication device, third
Yeah,
house.
Steve Jobs, right? For people who don't know.
Yeah. Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs. What he has in Punarvasu? Jupiter. Communication device, clear, articulate speech, businessman. And he gave the world the Apple phone. Everyone is talking on phone, communication, third house activation. Clearly seeing the themes of Punarvasu. This was one interesting story. Santhip, you may be knowing. There is a town in Kerala which is called Twin Town. That town has got the maximum number of twins.
Yeah, I heard this before. Yeah.
Yes, in Kerala. Okay. Even medically, doctors are amazed to see why this is happening. It's still a topic of research. Okay. Where is this place? This place is very near to Sandeep's place. This is in Calicut, just
It's
south
like
of it.
1.5 hours from my place. I'm in Kozhikode, like there, but
Correct.
yeah,
Yes.
Heltur is like literally like 10 minutes, barely 5 minutes from my home. And then
Oh,
Kozhikode is
okay.
like, it's like 1.5 hours, probably you could say 1.5, 2 hours kind of thing going on. Yeah.
Correct. So why I was thinking is that why this number of twins, Gemini is twins? Is there something related? I don't know what it is. I don't have a much idea, but what I understood was there is a temple of Guruvayur very near to it. It's little bit maybe 2 hours, 1.5 hours from Guruvayur north. What is Guruvayur? Guru is what? Again, Jupiter. Is there some Jupiterian energy and all here?
Yeah, look at the name of the village, right? That was a big clue.
What is this?
Look at the
Kodini.
twin.
Kodini.
That's right. Yeah. Ko sound is
Ko
Punarvasu
is
energy. Yeah.
Punarvasu. But again, Guruvayur temple, Jupiter, Guruvayur.
Yeah.
It's the energy of Jupiter. And Punarvasu Nakshatra is also having the energy of Jupiter Nakshatra.
Yeah.
And what is Punarvasu? Twins, Gemini. Yeah, this is well known. So is that something playing Punarvasu role playing the town? But there are a lot of towns in India or in everywhere in the world with Ko, K, Punarvasu sounds. So why this has got only so many twins? Along with name, blessings of Jupiter, which is, and Guruvayur is a big temple in India.
Yeah, huge temple. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I've been to that temple with Santhip ji.
Yeah.
5 years, 6 years back. Remember?
Yeah, great
We had
temple
gone.
to visit for sure. Yeah.
So something, maybe some Punarvasu energies are highly here. Maybe that's what you should go, Sandeep. Sandeep is also staying there. Sandeep, you have something in Punarvasu.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk
Yeah,
about
yeah, I
that.
have some big common thing going on in Punarvasu. Yeah.
Anyway, so I saw very, very, very interesting to see that point. Okay, festivals. Coming to my topic of festivals, as always. It goes from July 5th to July 20. What festivals we celebrate in Punarvasu? Ram Navami, definitely. Moon is in Punarvasu Nakshatra. So that's the theme to celebrate. Birthday of Ram during the month of Chaitra, Punarvasu. So that's one common festival. What other festivals we have? Or what other events happened on that day? Let's talk about that. Apollo 11 mission, again space theme. Apollo 11, we know July 16, 1969, 1332 at UTC it started, it landed on so and so, and the mission ended after. So total 4 days to go on moon, 4 days to come back, 8 days about. On July 16, 1969, I don't know the exact time when it started. They said 1332 UTC, which is 9:32 at Florida. So I just took the time and then I saw, is there a Punarvasu? Mercury is in Punarvasu. Again, space related theme. Okay. So that's why there are so many space related themes come up. And don't ask me, even I am doing astronomy, what is there in Punarvasu? You know what it is. So again, I'm also doing space studies. My 10th house is also in Punarvasu, let me say. So you know what it is. That's why I'm doing space, maybe. So you see how Punarvasu is so much related to space and astronomy, like infinite and all those things. Now we also celebrate what? Shayani or Ashadi Ekadashi on between, it's around July month, around mid-July. These are the dates of when this Shayani Ekadashi was celebrated. Most of the time it will come July 6th when the sun is in Punarvasu, July 17th on 2024 year, sun is in Punarvasu. So around Punarvasu and around Pushya part, Ardra, Punarvasu, Pushya, that's the time when this is, mostly it is in Punarvasu. What people do, Vishnu sleeps, they say that Vishnu sleeps on that day, Ashadi Ekadashi, and till Kartik Ekadashi, Vishnu is sleeping. 4 months Vishnu is sleeping, 8 months Vishnu. That's what they say. Vishnu is not sleeping as such, but that's what they say. It's not like complete sleep. Even though they say that when Vishnu is sleeping, it still works. This month, this year, it was on July. When was it? July 6, 2025 was Shayani Ekadashi when Vishnu went to sleep, and he will be sleeping till 1st November. So right now Vishnu is sleeping. Lord Vishnu is in sleep. He will get up on 1st November. That's what the story says. But what we do on that? On that day, people, this is from Pandharpur, where people leave their house and then they go walking all the way to like 400-500 kilometers or 400-500 miles, 300 miles, something like that. Going away from home. Again, away from home. Third house. Third house is what? 12th from the 4th. So you can see the Punarvasu theme. When this is sun is in Punarvasu, how people celebrate. The theme of Punarvasu, how can you see? Going away from home. Third, fourth house aspects. And they are going to war. Where? In Pandharpur, the abode of Vithala, the permanent residence. Everyone wants to go and join Vishnu, correct? So that's where perfect theme of Punarvasu theme you could see here. Plantation a lot. One Mahotsav is celebrated on the first week of July when the sun is in Punarvasu. One Mahotsav. One means what? Forest. Mahotsav, festival, forest festival. And it's for the plants and plantation and afforestation, very well connected. Again, as I told you, Punarvasu is connected with trees, plants. That's what we celebrate the One Mahotsav. So finally, I'm coming to my last few slides here. Punarvasu characteristics, deity is Aditi. Know about that goddess Aditi. You will come to know many things of Punarvasu, Mercury, Chandra, and Jupiter. Qualities, you can figure out what Punarvasu represents with the, if you know the planetary energies, trees, bamboo tree, festivals, and then finally our countdown. So right now we are at, after completing Ardra, we completed about 75 hours of talk. Okay, so that means we have crossed 3 days, 3 hours, 3.5 hours so far, right from Ashlesha. I just saw the date when we started Ashlesha. We started Ashlesha on 10th of April 2017. Today is 21st October 2025. So that's about, how many, 8.5 years. We're still going. We still have, after Punarvasu, we have to do Pushya. Ashlesha we have done, but we have not done Maga. So still we have 2 more nakshatras, guys. And I think with that, I'm sure it may take 9 years. And it is so interesting again that 9 years a complete cycle, and then we will complete the nakshatras of 27 nakshatras. So 9 full years. And you can see how those nakshatras are complete. So it's like complete cycle. So this is our journey. So right now. So I'm amazed how we are gone 8.5 years and rolling, still rolling in. So if you take our all videos and run non-stop, it may take you more than 3 days. Finish those. More than like almost 4 days gone. It's like satsang, continuously talking. But with that, that comes to an end for Punarvasu. And I think, yeah, really went long. But again, happy Diwali and enjoy. Have laddus, be happy, be good, and enjoy the Punarvasu Nakshatra and be ready for Pushya next time.
No, this was great, Aditya. Thank you. Dr. Pai, would you like to add anything or something on what Aditya mentioned?
Yeah, I think he always gives us a very good start. So I'm very grateful to Aditya to bring in all of these concepts. Now, very quickly, I wanted to say I like the concept that he brought about Castor and the pairing that is there. I think that is essentially what explains about the principle of Punarvasu. See, the word Punarvasu comes from Vasu, and they are the Vasus are the you have, which is all encompassing, and what resides within it, which means we have an indweller, and then we have a container. This is the principle of all the Astavasus. So if you know this principle, then you will understand what is the greater force that is there in Punarvasu. So if you know the container is earth, Prithvi, or Dhara, earth which supports, then there is Agni which resides within it. There is fireball which is there within the earth. If there is Antariksha, which is space all pervading, Vayu resides, Anila resides within it. So he is the indweller. Then we have the sky, which is Prabhasa, and then we have the Aditya or the Pratyusha who is residing within it, the sun. Then you have the Nakshatrani or Dhruva, the pole star, and we have the moon which resides within it. So these are they are pairs. They are always a couple. They are like a twin. Now, even if you see what he showed after this is Ram Sita Darbar. But if you see within Ram's heart, Sita resides. Within Hanuman's heart, Ram and Sita reside. Now you see this. Even Hanuman Chalisa begins with Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja. So Hanuman is called as a guru there. Right? Now, which you strangely see, the Vimshotri Dasha period of sun is 6 years. The Vimshotri Dasha period of moon is 10 years. 6 plus 10 is 16 years, which is the Vimshotri Dasha period of Jupiter. Sun and moon period resides within the Jupiter's Vimshotri Dasha period. So this concept that you see is all about the fractals. If you know, and I have talked about this even in my Sedona conference, the Fibonacci series. The Fibonacci series means the last two, addition of the last two numbers will give you the next Fibonacci series number. Every previous two numbers, if you add them, it will give you the next Fibonacci number. So this forms the golden ratio. The golden ratio is a pattern which is associated with my Aditi, which is a very unique number, 1.61 something, 48, whatever. It's a unique number which comes, and the numbers keep repeating in this pattern. So this is the beauty of this nakshatra. And if people do not understand the meaning of this nakshatra, then you are missing out, because this is like something that is a multiplier. See, we start with Diwali. We start with the Diwali on a Trayodashi day. This time is even special because it has been Shani Trayodashi. It came on a Saturday. Trayodashi Tithi, which is the Tithi which is associated with helping you to do the Pradosh. Pradosh means what you have to remove the blemish. Then you have to do it on Pradosh. Pradosh is to Shiva, because he is the ultimate one who can forgive you for whatever sins which nobody gives you that ability to forgive. He can forgive you. But the only way that he will forgive you is through bhakti, devotion. So Trayodashi is the evening. You start with Dhan Trayodashi. Then Chaturdashi. If you see, it is the birth star. It is Masika Shivratri. It's every month on Krishna Chaturdashi is Shiva's birthday. We are celebrating that day as Naraka Chaturdashi or Kali Chaudas, which means Krishna had slayed Narakasura on that specific day. So you see, then Ma Lakshmi is celebrated on a new moon day. Why am I saying this? Is this importance of Punarvasu is there because you see in the theme of Rama's life, he keeps coming back again and again and again. Every little theme, he has to lose something to regain it back. He loses his kingdom, which means he was set on exile. He comes back and he takes over. He loses his wife, goes, fights a battle, regains her, again to lose her. So this theme of gaining and losing is always there. And remember, Sri Rama also had twin children, Love and Kush. We are talking about the twins, Castor and Pollux. So there is a lot that we can discuss, but great start, Aditya. I know Eve has to add a lot to this, but I will, whenever I come to my chance to speak, I will speak more about Punarvasu. But it was fantastic to have this. That was, yes. Eve or Santhip, do you have anything to add to?
No, this was great, Aditya. I think
Dr. Pai, you should talk about what happened with you Punarvasu team today.
Yeah, when it comes to my turn, I will definitely speak.
Okay,
I don't want to, Eve, she should not be waiting just to finish her talk, and then when I'm going to talk about it, I'll speak about that.
Yeah, it's okay. So you can go ahead then, actually.
Thank you. Share.
He already has plans in the background. He's filled with Punarvasu energy.
Well, first I'm going to have a little bit of a quiz for you guys.
Okay.
I think everyone should know every time we do a video, there's a theme, and I am recovering from surgery. I'm completely okay, but I am recovering from surgery doing this video. So I am resurrected. So this is why they're being polite and letting me go in case I have to go early, but I think I'll be okay. And this is how much this team means to me. I didn't want to miss this video for the world. So I want to express before I start, Punarvasu, how grateful I am for you, brothers. I'm extraordinarily grateful.
8.5 years journey has been, I think we know each other from more than 10 years now.
I'm so grateful. Yeah. So like brothers. So, all right. Speaking of Punarvasu, Togi Ji had some charts, and so I figured I would let you guys take a guess. Some of you might know whose chart this is. I usually will not pull up the charts of the living, not typically. So I want to be a little bit respectful about this. The person is living. So there is a quality of Punarvasu Nakshatra that maybe some people would feel that was non-existent in some of the people that Togiji was showing a likable quality. Some people may like those people. Some people feel very much the opposite. Those people like Elon Musk and Donald Trump tend to get a very extreme contrast of people who like or dislike them very much. So this is an interesting chart as well, where this is considered one of the most likable people in Hollywood. Now, which Jyotishi is going to look at Mangal, Rahu, and Moon and say that? I just want to confront all of this ignorance that goes along with planetary combinations and Shani and Rahu, like I always do. I love to remove delusion. It is 100% delusional that this person would have a personality flaw. Okay, what they may have, however, is they may have to go through the karmas. The birth of the phalita, the fruits of karmas may come out into their lives through these conjunctions, but it doesn't make them a bad person. I hear so much about Rahu Moon, and I don't have a Rahu Moon conjunction. It's nothing personal, guys. So now that we're on Punarvasu, speaking truth is one of the powers of that nakshatra. Manipulating the truth or weaponizing words is another power. It depends on how you want to use the power of speech, but Aditi in the Rig Veda is called a Devi of speech, very similar to Saraswati. They even compare her at one point. She's the fabric of Akash, which could be sound. So I just want to highlight the power of this nakshatra. It's extraordinarily abundant, extraordinarily expansive, and it does carry a vibration of Lord Vishnu in it as well, which I'll talk about. So let me share my whole screen so that you guys can see who this is. I'll just share my whole desktop. So this is Keanu Reeves. He is considered the nicest guy in Hollywood. Mars, Rahu, Moon conjunction. So please never say this to another person that, but he's considered very kind, compassionate, loving. He has gone through hardships. But look, he's got that strong placement. The Venus is in fourth pada Punarvasu. He's got two Vargotham grahas, Venus and Mars in Punarvasu, plus his moon is not Vargotham, but it's in Punarvasu. So he's got three grahas, including his Dashapati, his nakshatra of his lagna, which is a dharmapati, called a dharmapati, in Punarvasu, here, in this resurrecting portion of Punarvasu. Venus empowers that quality, the regenerative quality of the Punarvasu there. So here, I just looked up how many times has Keanu Reeves played a savior. Aditi is what? You said it, Togiji, Deva Mata.
Yes.
The saviors. And Vamana, Avatar, she's the mother of God. But there's an interesting theme that goes on with the mother of the Avatar. So this mother of God scenario here. But it also comes out as the child of God. And I wanted to show this, that there is a Lord Vishnu element to this. And I think Togiji highlighting the Mercury-Jupiter element is really, really potent here. We do a lot of sadhana to Lord Vishnu on Thursdays, even though he's considered to be Budh, Graha's Pratyadi Devata and all of this. He is the Devata of Budh. But when you do like Brahaspati Vrat, if any of you know it, it's Thursday, and Lakshmi Narayan are worshipped in the banana tree, right? This is very common for Guru and Vishnu to have this connection. So anyways, wisdom becomes the savior. Wisdom becomes the savior. So there is something with Punarvasu, which is like the chosen one essence, or the chosen one energy, whether it's in the feminine as the divine mother or whether it's in the child of that. It doesn't mean it has to be masculine or feminine, but I just wanted to show that because it's a pop culture way of expressing how this guy's been. He even got casted as the Buddha. He was the Buddha in the movie Little Buddha. So, all right.
Some theme of children is also strong in Punarvasu.
Exactly. So like the child of God or the mother of God, these kinds of concepts. Okay.
Positive as well as negative, both I have seen.
Both, actually. Yes. Very good point. So Aditi, I think Dr. Paiji, Togiji, you guys went over much of her attributes in the most direct way. I'm going to show you guys some of the Rig Veda selections of what they were describing earlier. So you can see she really does deal with sound and speech and akash, expanse and abundance, and punya, this concept of hidden wealth, whether it's the wealth of intelligence, the wealth of anything is considered to be, anything good that we desire is considered to be aditi. In the Rig Veda, she's invoked constantly to make the prayer potent. And this is an important concept because you have Aditi, then you have Brahaspati, the Purohit, Deva Purohit, like the priest of the Devas, right next to Aditi. And all through the Rig Veda, you have them asking, please, make this prayer abundant. Make it expansive. Let it grow. Togi was showing all those very wealthy people. Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, this is one of the, I would say, even superficial or shallow attributes of that. The depth of wisdom and virtue, of genuine virtue, when no one can buy you at any price, when no one can shake you, even if they break your bones, when you have to make the hardest decision to hold on to the wealth of virtue. That's the real thing. But all these other attributes of wealth are there, shallow, actually. So bringing me to the story, and I love, Dr. Paiji, that you brought up Hanumanji. I was almost crying making these slides. I'm a little vulnerable right now, just my health, but I was really feeling this. And the story of Lord Rama, I don't know if I've really appreciated it the way I have until recently. I've always loved this. I've always loved Ramayana. You could compare any epic and it will just be overshadowed by the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. There's nothing like those two books. Psychologically brilliant, spiritually brilliant, and entertaining, all of it. Lord of the Rings doesn't even compare, Like if you were to actually make this into an epic film, I think the world would be shocked if someone captured the depth, the philosophy, the psychology, the brilliance of it from every angle. The emotional intelligence as well as the intellectual intelligence is unmatched. Poetically, everything. And considering that Lord Ram was born in Punarvasu, the Rishis never had anything out of place. We know that. The Pi team, we know that. We're always looking at that. We're always examining that. So all the brothers were the stars of different stars in Cancer Rashi, actually. So when we're talking about Lord Ram, we're talking about the Cancer portion of Punarvasu, which Togiji was highlighting. And that's going to be important, but it doesn't mean that the Gemini portion is not connected. It's very much connected, actually. The story starts in Gemini. So we do have the nakshatra. What I wanted to highlight here is we have the nakshatra that is entering the cave of the heart. This is where we enter the fourth house, the first moksha bhava, the first point of real intimacy. This is where the sun is completely concealed. And I have all of these points written down, and there's a reason I have Hanumanji highlighted here, not because it's his nakshatra, but it's because the Jala Lagna from Cancer is Libra, where Vayu sits. And I explain all of this. The Jala Lagna is the deepest psychology of any Rashi. So the fourth Rashi from any Rashi is its deeper psychology. The third Rashi from any Rashi is its motivation. So interesting with Punarvasu, because we have the end of the third house, the house of motivation, courage, willpower, skills. And then we have the entrance into the fourth house, the house of home. But that's really the house of mind. And Patanjali Maharaj makes that very clear. Your first home is your mind. And it's actually seated yogically in the heart, the hrid, not in the brain. The seat of manas is technically Cancer, is technically the heart, the hrid. So this nakshatra is very special because it's between that third house point and the fourth house point. First, the end of the first kama bhav going into the first moksha bhava. Now, if you examine the beginning of the Ramayana, when basically right after Sri Ram, well, not the beginning, but right after he's exiled, which we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about some of the Punarvasu elements of this. Right after he's exiled, when he starts going to the ashrams, it might even be before he's exiled. It's been a while since I've read it chronologically. he goes to Kamashrama. You guys all know this, and Siddhashram. So all these ashramas have names. So he first goes to the place where Kamdev is burnt to ash by Mahadev. This is where the rishis are doing tapas. In the first place, he goes with Vishwamitra, Kamashrama. They call it this because Kamdev was burned, and his roop, his form changed forever after that. Then the next place he goes is a Siddhashram, where the rishis are doing harsh tapas and for moksha and attainment. So this is, if you look at it, you will see that the entire Ramayana almost is guiding you through the nakshatras. I've actually mapped this out before. It's unbelievable how brilliantly this was written. Even the fact that it starts at Ardra Nakshatra with the Krauncha bird. That is Ardra Nakshatra's bird, and it's the hunter that kills them. They get killed by Ardra. It's Ardra. It's the arduous journey that's about to begin, followed by the birth of Ram, Punarvasu. So there's so much in these stories that it would almost take a lifetime of study of one of these epics to even really understand the depth intellectually. But through a lens of Jyotish, we can just start a little bit, okay? So I wrote some things out just about the nakshatra in general. Togiji covered a lot of this. I don't want to be redundant, repeat, Punarvasu. But I will cover the things that he didn't say right here. Just before we go into the story of Ram deeper, let's just look at what Aditi, who she was in the Rig Veda, which you're going to see from actual texts. All prayers and sacrifices, they'd ask her to increase the auspiciousness. She was everything auspicious. So if you think about the importance of that, especially living with nature, it's really going to hit you that most Vedic hymns, majority of them were using speech to speak positively in prayer. Unlike the Greeks, who a lot of their classical hymns were curses. If you know the Greek papyri, they were all negative. It was very dark, actually, cursing this person, cursing that person, cursing that. The Vedas are the right use of speech. It's the power to create through Vaksiddhi. And they were always invoking Aditi with this. May we be abundant. May there be rains. May there be cattle. May everyone be happy. May all beings be abundant and multiply and be happy. Everything goes back to that. May everything increase. And so this is why Mata Aditi became such a core figure to ask, to make sure that the prayers became expansive, abundant, and auspicious. Okay, so the environment, I like to call Rashi's the environment. Okay, this is the only thing I'll add to that because Tokiji already covered this Mithun and Kark, but the environment is really the Rashi. So the way you could see this is like if it's a desert, that's the Rashi. The trees growing in the desert is going to be the nakshatra, and the fruits growing off of it is specifically that graha giving you that in that nakshatra. So the falit happens through the dashapati. So the Lord of the delivering the harvest is going to be Guru for this nakshatra. So you can understand already Akash, expanse, increase, Trimurti, Brahma, speech, propagation, progeny, proliferate, multiplying, increasing, building, imagination, fantasy, romanticizing. Whether the person's romanticizing philosophies or intellectual things, there are so many writers born under this nakshatra. Whether they're romanticizing sci-fi in a futuristic world or whether they're romanticizing the past, it doesn't matter. This nakshatra tends to be able to fantasize in a very expansive way. Look at Steve Jobs, look at Elon Musk. They're envisioning their technologies and all of this. It's a visionary nakshatra, broad-minded, intelligent, inventive, articulate, and it can misuse that power because we do have the tail end of the third house going into the fourth. Now, the fourth house is powerful for psychological warfare and homeland security. So is the eighth house. Those two houses are very powerful psychologically. So I do want to bring in a psychological element to this nakshatra that I don't typically bring into nakshatras. I don't value psychological Jyotish very much. I feel we make a lot of mistakes, like the Keanu Reeves chart. So I like to avoid psychological astrology, but I have to say here that we don't need to avoid it when it comes to the sign of Cancer. the sign of Cancer. The fourth house is where the two psychological giants, Shukra and Chandra, gain power. Besides Guru, who is Ucha in Cancer, no one can outsmart Brihaspati. But the other two kings of psychology are Venus and Moon. And this is why you see that besides the Mahabharata, the Ramayana is by far one of the most complex psychological epics. It is complex psychologically. Mahabharata, I would say, is more so because even most of the villains, the so-called villains, are redeemable in some way. It's very complex because it's confronting dharma. Like Yudhishthira literally renounces dharma by the end. Krishna is the avatar of the moon. So naturally, and he's born in Rohini, which is Venus and moon. So it's a very psychological epic. I mean, Mahabharata, nothing compares psychologically. But Ram being the avatar of sun makes this epic a little bit more black and white between good and evil. However, it still has the quality of his birth nakshatra being Punarvasu and Cancer, and it is quite psychological. I mean, including one of the best villains, because Ravan is a great bhakta. Everyone is a great bhakta. Cancer, we have Cancer Rashi here. We have Hanumanji showing in his heart Ram and Sita. We have Ravan who's beheading himself. So this is something to really pay attention to. The Purusharthas of the Bhavas, never leave that out. I would encourage people to please take screenshots of this. I was going to send Dr. Paiji the PDF because I have some links for students that are interested. But okay, so I have some things here for you guys to screenshot. You can look it up on your own, but I wanted to highlight how much Aditi, Mother of Eternal Speech, please receive this prayer. Please make it invincible. Please make it expand. They're always approaching her like, nourish us with your Brahma Vidya. There are texts that make references to her nourishing through Brahma Vidya. So this is clear reference to nourishing through Gyan, through knowledge. This is very much like Saraswati again, and it tells you that knowledge is the greatest wealth. We also have this whole thing with Brihaspati being milked like a cow by Indra for his knowledge. So milk was synonymous with knowledge in the Vedas. Don't take my word for it, please read them. They talk about milking Brihaspati for his knowledge. So this being the mother, what would the mother of the gods be besides Brahma Vidya? Why would it be the gods? Okay. So entrance to the heart, guys. This psychology becomes big here because you're going from that intellectual Mithun, Gemini, with all the skills and all the interest in weapons and technology and instruments and talents, into a very hidden place of the fourth house. And the fourth house is the midnight concealed point, as I've often said. So we have all four brothers being born under the signs of the moon. Right? We have Ram, Punarvasu, Bharat is Pushya, Lakshman and Shatrughna Kumar are Ashlesha. Is this correct? I believe they're the twins, so they're Ashlesha. And Lakshman and Shatrughna Kumar are the guardians of their brothers. Lakshman guards Ram, Shatrughna Kumar guards Bharat. They are the guardians. Nagas were not skilled at lying. They were dangerous because they would burn you to ash. This is a very different thing. And it ties into the divine weapon attribute. So interestingly, Ashlesha Shakti deals with complete annihilation of the enemy, complete destruction of the foe. I can understand why, if the ancient people witnessed that, why they would say that, and how people have twisted that into words. But I think they might have been literal about it, meaning weapons. So we do have something going on from Punarvasu to Ashlesha, the whole sign of Cancer, with weapons. And I think that's going to shock people a little bit. So I wanted to talk about it because Cancer, everyone's going to go, oh, the mother, oh, this. Well, go mess with a mother lion's cub or go mess with a bear cub, you're going to find out about weapons really fast. And, Mongol being Nietzsche in Ashlesha is probably because there's an excess of energy, not because there's a deficiency of energy. It's two weapons in one place and it's intimate. That means you could get, you could really get a big opponent there. I mean, you could get some violence there, maybe surgeries, things like that, because it's too much fierce energy, right? So that could even just affect the health, not even the personality. So to be careful with personality astrology again. But Brahaspati is never considered to be a weapon, however, not by modern Jyotishis, but if you read the Vedas, besides knowledge.
For the wealth, maybe
Oh,
for the prosperity.
Like to defeat your enemies kind of thing?
warfare.
Okay, yeah.
Don't take my word, look it up. Winning in war. He was the warlord. Who was Dronacharya?
Yep.
Dronacharya was Brahaspati, born as a human. Vidur, Yama, right? So we have Dronacharya was Brahaspati. Just think about it. Master of divine weapons. So there is something to this Jala Lagna and the motivation or the Kama Lagna, which is a third Rashi over. So from Cancer, the third Rashi over is Kanya Rashi, the war. The sixth house is the biggest house of victory. We need to revisit this stuff. Sixth house was victory, is Kanya, is Durga. So actually, sixth house is the first portion of the occult section of the chart, where all the siddhis are, because you have your Muladhara chakra there. So once you hit that Kanya Rashi, that's the third Rashi over from Cancer. Cancer is very motivated by what? Serving others, helping others, making others feel better. Kanya, Seva, Cancer Rashi wants to help others, is very motivated by Virgo. However, its Jala Lagna is in Tula Rashi, the sign of justice. So Cancer is all about justice. It's deeper psychology, is more about justice than we're realizing. And this is why the nakshatras all deal with divine weapons. Every single nakshatra in Cancer Rashi is a divine weapon. And never underestimate the power of the heart chakra for this. This is why the Yoga Shastra keeps that very secret, the Anahata chakra. There's attainments through that chakra because here, which element do we master? Do you guys know?
Is it like a
Yoga,
Vayu
Vayu Tattva, Pavanaputra, Hanumanji. It was this chakra where you master which graha, actually. Who is the carrier of Vayu? Guys,
Shani.
Shani.
Shani. Correct?
Shani is in the heart of Cancer Rashi.
Yeah, 4 to 7, correct, is it?
He is the carrier of Vayu Tattva and he is the main karma karaka. Vairagya is one of Shani's names, not Ketu's names, Shani's names. And that is a child of Bhakti. Vairagya is a child of Bhakti. Divine weapons are in the heart. A real king is Karak Rashi. I know we always say Leo. The Jala Lagna of where Surya is Ucha is Cancer. He's the avatar of the sun. He's born in Cancer. The Jala Lagna of Cancer itself, however, is Libra, justice. Where Jupiter exalts, justice becomes the Jala Lagna. So these things, actually, these hidden things are more important to understand when reading a chart than most psychological things. Now, I hope people take screenshots of this because I don't want to just read it out to you. But I just spoke most of this stuff. And one thing I wanted to highlight is that the enemies that are spoken of to these ashrams, like if you notice, Ram out of all avatars is defeating Rakshasas that are attacking what? Sadhana, tapas. Because in the Treta Yuga, that's the leg of Dharma that breaks. So the leg of dharma that breaks at the end of the Treta Yuga is tapas. So Ram was mainly going around protecting these ashrams from these rakshasas only through the virtue of his heart. What would give him command of the divine weapons? Purity of heart. What would he have over Ravan? Ravan was so accomplished. If external accomplishment is all there is, or siddhis is all that, Ravana would have won. He was more accomplished than Lord Ram in every way, as far as being a Vidyadhara. He was the elder. He had cut off multiple heads. He'd done severe tapas to Lord Shiva. He had every boon you could think of. No one could stop him. This is not an external thing. This is an internal virtue that is internal immune system that is impossible to fake. So this story has so much about the internal war that it's unbelievable. So when you start losing tapas and daya, like in an ashram, if those are lacking, then it already is attacked by rakshasas. The immune system is down. If it's lacking karak rashi, which is intimacy, where guru exalts, it is not an ashram. If it's lacking daya, if it's lacking compassion, if people are disposable, if quantity is valued over quality, if fame and money is valued over the virtue of the student, if someone is more excited about talking to Google than talking to an intimate, like some big group of people in the masses, as opposed to talking to 10 very sincere seekers, you better be careful. Because that is where Guru is Nietzsche in Makara Rashi. That is the masses. Jupiter is Nietzsche there. I'm not saying Jupiter's bad there, guys. Don't apply that to horoscope reading. Jupiter can be very knowledgeable there. It's one of the better placements for Jupiter. But what I'm saying is that the Rishis were telling us something about these Ucha Nietzsche points, that Guru thrives in intimacy, the wisdom of the heart. When it is compromised, when that immune system is compromised, your ashram is destroyed. When Guru is in the masses, he's destroyed. He loses power. Mangal gains power there. Ambition gains power there. He's a tamas graha. Guru is a sattva graha. So this can't be real. I'm sorry, I go against it. Forgive me, I'm not speaking against a person but this kind of structure where a guru is behaving like a business cannot be a guru. So this is something that's in the Ramayana, but it's concealed. But those value systems are taught there because it's so easy to get distracted by the externalization of a force, the appearance of a force, because things can conceal themselves as what they are not. And this is really a big part of the Ramayana. It's a big part of that fourth house element where divine weapon is used to either harm or rescue or save. And it's all in the heart. It's all in the battleground, is all in the deeper level of the mind, not even in the intellectual level, but the deep level of the mind. I mean, Ram is one of the only avatars that deals with depression. They actually mentioned that. It's mentioned that he's depressed. And he loses his wife and his brother. I mean, he just goes through it emotionally. This is one of the most brutal. Krishna too, the sun and the moon avatars, really brutal. So we have the warning against rumors all throughout. So we have that third and fourth house, how rumors, how what we say can be injurious. You know, I've always noticed that the people that praise the most or want to be your friend the most and claim they're the closest friend are very commonly the one that will turn on you the most dramatically and say the worst things to you. Be careful of compliments and of insults. This is a big warning of what you hear. Be careful with Akash Tatwa. Be careful. Maybe if someone corrects you, they're not your enemy. Maybe they actually really care about you. So Punarvasu being linked with wisdom and the maturity of the heart, the entrance from the third house into the fourth house, there's something in the Ramayana, I can promise all of you as students, that the more you examine this, the more you're going to notice that misunderstandings through communication is all through the story. Everything that goes wrong in this is about rumors, and this person said this and this person said that. Much more than the Mahabharata. So this Punarvasu Nakshatra, Ram being born in it, he is the most affected by people's rumors. He is the most affected by false things that are said or manipulated truths. So harsh words are not always bad, but people who claim their harsh words are good are often manipulators, like the friend who says to you that you just don't like what I'm saying because it's the truth, when they've really said something really horrible to you. So see, speech is a big privilege for human beings. And it is the number one siddhi misused. Number one. You should never speak that way to someone and tell them it's a harsh truth. You don't have to say it that way. It tells me that you don't have to say it that way, actually. You don't have to say it that way. That means you were aware that it was harsh when you said it, right? So all these weird things that go on in our mind from Gemini to
No,
Cancer.
but you can't help. I always say harsh way, but I know it's harsh, but I don't know what to do.
Oh, Togi G, you don't count in what I'm talking about. You're actually the refreshing type. That's what I mean. It's hard to decipher. There's the refreshing type, which the person just says it and it's flat. And then people get offended by that. But then there's the person who says very hurtful, manipulative things darkly, and they know. Trust me, they know. So no, you're not that. That's how hard it is to understand. Is a person a friend or and this Ramayana, this is only one of the superficial psychological things it's highlighting for people to understand. But the power of speech here cannot be underestimated. This is extraordinarily amplified through the story, and how hard it is to really know what the truth is. I mean, how would she know that there wasn't a plot by the elder queen to rob her son? What if she really thought that Dashrath wanted Bharat to be king and that he just couldn't do it because of an obligation to the elder queen? So sowing that little seed of doubt. People who sow seeds of doubt like that, and just they want to cause that little thing. Be careful. Don't listen, maybe. Just don't pay attention. I'm just saying this is something that should be cautioned. The whole Ramayana is because of it. And the whole separation of Ram and Sita. And the Punarvasu individual is the one suffering over it the most. So this could be rumors, things like that. Yeah, I could even see this resulting in working for tabloids, like things like that. So I have here for students, you guys please screenshot it. I don't know if you know the animation of the Ramayana, but I had to use it. It's great. I have some direct clippings of the Ramayana. It's an English translation, but it's an okay one, I have some direct clippings of the description of Lord Ram because it's highlighting that attribute of Aditi that we talked about earlier, where she's all the virtues. He was the perfect king, and yet he suffered the most from people's rumors of all things. Rumors. He defeated a demon king and could not defeat the power of rumors. I mean, I'm just saying, please look at this. It's something very potent in that element. Most of the divine weapons as well are used through mantras. So there is most definitely an element here of the sound or the Akash Tattva. So even Ram is described as very Cancer-like, very Karak Rashi-like. He's a little temperamental, but he's controlled. So it's interesting because they say, like, in his anger, he tried to smash them out. This is Ram, who they always show just calm. And look at who they said would help him calm down. The Ashlesha native. Guys, I'm just saying, debunk this in your head. Stop listening to things. It's just always poisonous. All nakshatras are divine and all can go dark. So there's a dark side to Punarvasu, which would be absolute psychological manipulation, 100%. And that's any planet in the third or fourth house too, by the way. Any planet in the third or fourth house and anything with Venus and Moon has that power. Jupiter also has that power. So you can use it for good or you can use it to bring down others. This really this whole story highlights it. And very, very beautiful story. So I hope to stoke people's curiosity if they don't know it. That's why I wanted to post this. We've got the medicinal herbs. We've got superhuman strength coming in, through the story. I mean, beautiful, beautiful story. Now, Togi Ji talked about bamboo. Okay, and I love that. Okay, so I did want to talk about some of the natural elements before Dr. Paiji jumps on, and I will just let people take screenshots of the notes I made. That made a lot, guys. I think recovering from surgeries made me crazy. I don't know. But okay, so bamboo. What philosophically do we know about it as Hindus? What is Krishna's flute made of?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Krishna's flute is
bamboo.
bamboo, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And what was special about the reed that he chose? I wrote this down here because I forgot to give the website credit. Someone wrote it so nicely. I just took it's off of a website. I apologize. I don't know. Maybe you could put the text in and find the website and look at the whole story.
See, that's what is called bansuri. You know, bamboo is called bans.
Yeah.
It's called bansuri. So bansuri sur
Yeah.
means it from the bamboo.
And it's because it's hollow.
Hollow.
It's empty. Just spaces inside. And this is said to be your Sushumna Nadi. Krishna's playing your Sushumna Nadi. And when he's dancing on Kalia, he plays his flute. This is
Again, the sound
every
thing.
chapter of the Gita is a yoga.
So you said about the sound thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saraswati's Veena.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same thing. So, but this story was so beautiful because it was about the humility of the bamboo stalk that Krishna chose. It was just really beautiful because it was the most low bending reed of bamboo, not the one that was trying to reach the highest. Anyway, I'll let anyone read it that wants screenshot it. So, guys, I'm going to show you notes in a second, but I just wanted to put this about the cat. The regenerative power of this nakshatra. We're going to also look at bamboo's medicinal properties. The silica available in bamboo is being used in nanotech. Silica can be used for that, which is to deliver new forms of medicine. I'm not saying I like it or I dislike it. There's going to be people that feel both ways. I'm just saying that here's that tech element again that somehow is coming in with Jupiter. Specifically, Jupiter tends to have, the Akash Tattva tends to have some element of invention to it. And all of Jupiter's nakshatras is they're Brahma Trimurti. So innovation is there and intelligence, right? Okay, so the cat's purr sound that it makes. If you guys don't know, a cat makes a purring sound, and you can go look this up on YouTube. If you don't know, if you're not familiar with cats, just look up their purr. It has actually been studied scientifically. It heals their body, and it is even having an effect on humans when they lay on you and purr. And what's funny is this whole crazy cat lady thing is not so crazy, okay? But there are people who just love cats. There's multiple reasons for this. I'm going to talk about this in a minute. But anyone who bonds with a cat, and you guys know me, I've got a lot of rescue cats, and they're female. So I've had many female cats. I've had the experience with this. They will nurse other babies than their own, just like dogs. So people think dogs only will do this. Cats are known to do this even more. They will do this even more. So let me show you guys. Okay, so let me.
That's one of your cat who does.
Yeah. No, there was one, we call her Yo Mama,
Yo,
because
mama.
she
Yeah.
literally nursed every kitten, even the ones that weren't hers. So no possessiveness with the babies. It's just she's nurturing everything that would come to her as a mother. Okay, so here, Dr. Paiji, I can send this as a PDF to you and you can put it because they can see the links I put.
Leave this link on your website and I can give a link there so that they can download from your
We can do
website.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Yeah.
can do that perfectly. Yeah, that's great.
Cats are like Aditi, you know. The
Right.
calcium,
So
calcium.
this regenerative power, and then they're just nurturing everything.
Everyone, yeah.
And yeah, so this is all this. I'll leave the link, and I highlighted some things like some similarities between the bird and the animal. So the swan, they both hiss as well. They have very defensive behavior over their territory that's unique, and they do it through sound. Not many people know that swans will hiss. And so we're talking about divine weapons, and this is all out of, it's just interesting. I'm just, because the rishis were living closer with nature. So I just figured there's no way they weren't, this was practical to them. It wasn't just philosophical to them, it was practical. Here with the, the bamboo growth, and Togi tapped into this. It is one of the fastest regenerative and fastest growing plants. It will keep growing and multiplying. It's known for rapid growth, self-regeneration, and resilience. There we go again, bone regeneration, just like the cat's purr. So were the rishis just saying this because they were intuitive, or did they know? It's a good question. And this Venu, it was also called Venu in Sanskrit. It's called Venu, bamboo. And this medicine was, like Togiji said, it binds to toxicity in urines and flushes it out of the body.
You also have shoots here, studied for antioxidant, anti-ulcer potential.
Yes.
As extracts from bamboo leaves and shoots. So.
Yeah, so it's medicinal, right? So there's that, and I will let you guys take screenshots of this, and I'll also, like Dr. Paiji said, put this on my website. This is just extra info about Punarvasu that I collected. I have a link here to a Punarvasu mantra, and this is the Ganapati channel. Are you guys aware of that? It's very traditional. So here's the Punarvasu mantra, and I have it broken down word by word for you guys. Okay, anyone who wants.
Jai
Okay, great.
Punarvasu.
Yeah, great, great, Yuji. Thanks. That was great. Dr. Pai, would you like to add anything to what Yuji mentioned? Good.
Yeah, I think it was there was a lot of content there, Yuji. Thanks for sharing. And I have been making a lot of notes from your notes. So probably whenever I get that link, I will have to revise a lot of things that you had shared in your slides. So that is very valuable. Okay, so Yuji, I would probably, you guys can also chip in whenever I start sharing some of the insights that I have. It will not be very usual insights that you give on Punarvasu, but I will give some insights for people, something very different that they can think about and ponder about. And you guys can also chip in whenever you feel like. So one of the main themes that you were talking about is the flute, which is the bamboo, right? And Krishna used to have flutes which were made of various sizes. The longest one, which was called as Bansuri, which was made from bamboo. It was large. That's why it was called as Bansi Lal. Bansi means he used to have the bamboo flute. Then he was also called as Vamshi. Vamshi means something which is smaller. That's a flute that he used to play, but it's a smaller flute. Then you mentioned about it, E.g. He was also called as Murali Manohar. Murali is also another kind of a flute which is also smaller in size. And then finally he used to be called as Venu Gopala. Venu is the smallest flute that you can play is called Venu. So there is a lot of significance you'll see with Punarvasu. The plant associated with Punarvasu is being used by Krishna, right? And interestingly, what you will see in the nakshatra, those people who are really fascinated by nakshatra, I think Aditya has already covered it. See, there are only 3 nakshatras specifically that you will see that Vargottama Padas, 2 consecutive Vargottama Padas will come in only 3 nakshatras. One is a nakshatra of Punarvasu, which is Jupiter's nakshatra, where the 3rd and the 4th pada are Vargottama. Then the next is Chitra nakshatra, which is Mars's nakshatra, which is the 2nd and the 3rd pada. The 2nd and the 3rd pada of Chitra, which is Mars's nakshatra. And then Uttarashada, where the 1st and the 2nd pada are Vargottama. So Sun's nakshatra Uttarashada, 1st and 2nd Vargottama. 2nd and 3rd of Mars nakshatra Chitra, and Jupiter's nakshatra which is Punarvasu. So these are very special. Then additionally, none of the Mars nakshatras have any Pushkara Navamsha. But Sun's nakshatra and Jupiter's nakshatra have two Pushkara Navamshas in these two nakshatras that I've already spoken about, which means Uttarashada first pada and Uttarashada fourth pada is Pushkara Navamsha pada. And Punarvasu second pada and Punarvasu fourth pada. All other nakshatras of Sun and Jupiter, the second pada and fourth pada for all Jupiter nakshatras are Pushkara Navamsha. The first and the fourth pada of all Surya nakshatras are Pushkara Navamsha. But very interesting, what I want to say. For Moon's nakshatra, the second pada of all Moon's nakshatra is Pushkara Navamsha. And Shri Krishna, as Aditya mentioned, was born in Rohini nakshatra, second pada, which is not only a Pushkara Navamsha, but also a Vargottama pada. So Krishna was born in Rohini too. Shri Rama is born in Punarvasu 4, which is a Pushkara Navamsha as well as a Vargottama pada. So this I leave it always open. There is also Uttarashada first pada is also a Vargottama pada as well as a Pushkara Navamsha. And there is one avatar of Vishnu which is yet to come. It would be very interesting to see what nakshatra would that be. Because Uttarashada means ultimate victory, irreversible victory. And the only avatar who is yet to come is Kalki avatar. Now, why am I bringing these things up? Like, look, when you look at nakshatras, you have to know some of esoteric symbolisms which is there with the nakshatras energies. Now, Punarvasu Nakshatra is you see the symbology which Aditya mentioned, it is the bow and the arrow. See, the bow is a symbology of Saturn as a graha. Why? Because if you take a bamboo, you have to really bend it, and with a rope or a thread or a string so it is under constant stress. The stick is not straight. It is under stress, and that is how the bow, that's where you get the string will get the potency, the potential energy when you pull an arrow is there in the bow. So that's why Shani. Anything which is bent and which is under stress is Shani. The second is the arrow is Mercury. Mercury is the planet which is associated with arrows. So whenever you see in any chart Shani and Buddha combination, it is nothing but it's a representation of Sri Rama, because he is Punarvasu and he is a representation of the bow and arrow. Here that bow and arrow is also what he has is a quiver which has bows in it. What it does is as soon as he strings it, it goes to this target, hits the target, and it comes back like a boomerang, goes back into his quiver. So that means he has a quiver where there might be the arrows which will never get exhausted, which means it will go like a boomerang and come back. So this is one of the most important themes that you will see with Punarvasu, which means what goes around comes around. It's what do you call, what is that thing that you sit on a thing and like a cart and you're going in circles?
Merry-go-round.
Merry-go-round. So Punarvasu is a merry-go-round. It is merry when you are good and doing good activities. Otherwise, you are doing bad, then you will, that it will not be merry, too much merry for you. Isn't it? See, Ardra, the word Ardra also means wet and green. Immediately after Ardra comes Punarvasu. There is one symbology there. What is the symbology? What is the color of currency? Dollar is green. So green revolution, when the money is put in circulation, charity, giving it away, it comes back to you, because that is a universal law. Because you are on the merry-go-round. You are boomeranging. If you send negativity, negativity will come back. Right? See, now in Nakshatra, if you see what Evji also mentioned, If you take the Rashi as the environment, the nakshatra is the tree, and the fruit is actually the Navamsha. Because the nakshatras are the points for making you understand there is a very beautiful chemistry and mathematics behind the construction of the Navamsha. See, before I go there, I want to say, Punarvasu is that nakshatra where the student was trained into divine weapons, which is astras. Astras means where mantras were used, and the bow, when the bow is held high, it can create, because it is pointing towards the ether, sky element, Akash Tattva, and you hold it and you say the mantra. Especially these were used only on specific days. This is a secret. It has to be activated on a Tuesday. It has to be activated on Jayatithis. Jayatithis is 3, 8, and 13. Tritiya Tithi, Ashtami Tithi, and Trayodashi Tithi. Jayatithis, when it is Tuesday, creates a very big yoga. I hope you know that. It is Siddha Yoga. Now, even that is the Tithi and Vara yogas. Now, EVG also has said there is Sarvartha Siddha Yoga, which means that we are using the yoga. You made me the spotlight.
We can see you better.
Okay. So, Sarvartha Siddha Yoga, what you are having, you have a combination of, it is Nakshatra and Vara yogas. Vara and Tithi yogas are there. Nakshatra and Tithi yogas are there. Vara Nakshatra Tithi yogas are there. So to activate, Punarvasu was always used. So if you see in Mahabharata, Ashwatthama, he didn't have a weapon. So what he did, he took a blade of grass and he told the mantra and he used that as a Brahmastra. Same principle you will also see Sri Rama also done. There is an episode when they were in exile that he was taking a nap on Sita's lap. A crow was coming and disturbing, Sita Ma, and the crow was very vicious. And it is given in Valmiki Ramayana. The crow was coming and pecking on her breast, on her chest, and she started bleeding. And she didn't want to disturb Rama. But when a few drops of blood fell on her, when Rama got up and saw blood on her chest, he was so mad that he just took a blade and he sent that blade towards Brahmastra. He activated it and he flew it at this crow. And the crow had to go begging for mercy from him, running around. Do you see what I mean? Punarvasu means you can activate the divine weapons. See, Mula also has an energy, but it has downward arrow, which means Rama had used that downward arrow he said, I'm going to shoot you and make you dry to the ocean. He told to Varuna when he had to construct a bridge. You see, so certain nakshatras have what we say is their adhomukha, which means downward facing. Certain nakshatras are called urdhomukha, they are upward facing. They have very high level of potential, and triyankamukha, which means facing forward. Now look at this thing that I'm going to share with you guys. Just think about this, right? Because it reminds me of what Nikola Tesla had said in one of the phrases. And if you see that, you can unlock this code here in the nakshatras. See, Nikola Tesla said, if you understand the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9, you have the secret code to the key to the universe. See, nakshatras are the key to our karmas, because the seeds of our karmas are sitting in nakshatras. They are not sitting in rashis. They are not sitting on the grahas. The grahas are merely transmitters, transformers of that energy which is coming. The seeds are sitting in nakshatras of our karmas. Rashis are just adding the flavor, the environment in which this karma will be playing out. But where is the seed? It's a nakshatra. Now look at this interplay that is happening. See, you have to understand the nakshatra padas. We know how the nakshatra padas are classified, which is very commonly known. the first pada is dharma. All dharma padas in the Navamsha will be Agni Tattva Rashis. All Artha padas, the second padas, will be Prithvi Tattva Rashis. All the third pada will be Vayu Tattva Rashi, and all the fourth padas will be Moksha pada, which would be Jala Tattva Rashis. Correct? But there is a very subtle yogic secret to these four padas. Nobody has really thought, why should we divide the nakshatra into 4? Why not into 5? Why not into 6? Why not into 9? Because the motherly principle is there in the nakshatras. The creative energies are there in the nakshatras. So 4 is the principle of mother. The fourth bhava is mother. But the fatherly principle is there in the rashis. That's why we divide the rashis into 9 parts. 9 equal parts, which happens to be the Nava Amshas of the Rashi. Why? Because that's the fatherly principle. Because who is the father? The sun is the creator of the Rashis. The moon is the creator of the nakshatras. So it can only be divided by 4. It can be divided by 3, 2, and the Rashi has to be divided by 9. Because it's the fatherly principle. Because the sun is the creator of the Rashi system. The moon is the creator of the nakshatra system. Now, interesting. Just for you to really capture what I'm trying to say, the first pada is not only the dharma pada and the agni pada. It is also the pada, you have to understand in yogic parlance, which is the most awakened jagrata avastha. When a planet sits in the first pada, it is in jagrata avastha. When it goes to the second pada, it is in swapna, dream state. The third pada, when it goes into Sushupti. Sushupti means it is going into deep sleep state. The Kama pada is Sushupti. And the fourth pada, the moksha, is actually called the Sat Chit Anand, Turiya Amsha, eternal bliss. That is why moksha is connected to complete liberation and eternal bliss forever. Now, quickly I want to show you the magic of Navamshas. The magic is there in the nakshatras and the construction of the Navamsha. Now look, what is EFG has extensively talked about Brahma Trimurti Nakshatra. Which are the Brahma Trimurti Nakshatras? Ketu's nakshatras are Brahma Trimurti, Moon's nakshatras are Brahma Trimurti, and Jupiter's nakshatras are Brahma Trimurti. Understood, everybody? This is the 3. Now, look at the beauty of the construction. Because I said the fatherly principle is divided by 9. And Brahma and his manifestation is always the Kama Pada will be very important for the Brahma Trimurti Nakshatras. They would have the essential power of the entire Nakshatra concentrated into the Kama Pada. Brahma Trimurti Nakshatra. Now I'll give you the example. The third Pada of Aries is the third Pada of Ashwini. The 6th Navamsha Pada of Taurus is the third Pada of Rohini. And the 9th Navamsha Pada of Gemini is the third Pada of Punarvasu. So what did you get? 3, 6, 9. The third Pada of Ashwini and the third Pada of Aries are the same. The 6th Pada of Taurus is actually the third Pada of Rohini. And the 9th Pada of Gemini is the third Pada of... Are you seeing this? This concept, if you understand, you will know for all Vishnu Trimurti Nakshatras, the second Pada of those Nakshatras will be the 3, 6 and 9. And for all the Shiva Trimurti Nakshatra, it would be the Dharma Pada. Are you understanding? The Dharma Pada will become the 3, 6 and 9. So what am I trying to tell you is, you are missing something which is very beautifully, which is constructed as a backdrop. It is 3, 6 and 9 is the creator of Brahma and the Kama Pada. The Artha Pada of Vishnu Trimurti Nakshatra will be the 3, 6, and 9. And for Shiva Trimurti, the 3, 6, and 9 is the first pada, the Dharma Pada, the Jagrata Avastha. And the fourth pada of Shiva Trimurti Nakshatra will also give you 3, 6, and 9. Just work it out, you will understand this, what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to explain with this is, you will see some beautiful concepts, and I have seen this over and over and over again. If you are going into nakshatras, the most important nakshatras are the nakshatras which are 3 pada nakshatras, which are Sun's nakshatra and Jupiter's nakshatras are called 3 pada. Why they are called 3 pada or 3 pushkara nakshatras? Why they are called 3 pushkara? 3 padas of Sun's nakshatra fall in one Rashi, 1 pada falls in the other Rashi. But remember, where is the break? For all Sun's nakshatra, the break is in the Jagrata Avastha, is in one Rashi. The Dharma pada, the fire sign, is in one Rashi, and the other 3, which is the Swapna, Sushupti, and Turiya padas in the. But for Jupiter's nakshatra, the Turiya pada is in the separate Rashi. That means the other states are only about awakening, dream, and deep sleep. But Rama goes into the Turiya pada. Are you getting something very, very important I'm trying to tell you? Right? Krishna, he is born in the dream state. He is in the second pada of Rohini. So if you understand this construction of the Navamsha through this concept 3, 6, and 9, you will see the unfoldment and you will understand what is happening. So, see, why I'm saying that is, EFG gave a very beautiful explanation for Punarvasu, saying, if you see Punarvasu Nakshatra, right, is the interleaving between the 3rd Rashi, Gemini, and the 4th Rashi. Those are the 2 points where I said the 3rd pada and the 4th pada of Punarvasu is Vargottama. The next you see is between the 6th Rashi and the 7th Rashi. The 6th Rashi Vargo and the 7th Rashi. The interleaving points are also Vargottama. Second pada of Chitra, 3rd pada of Chitra. Both are Vargottama. And you go to the last, which is Uttarashada, 1st pada to 2nd pada, which is going from the 9th to the 10th house. So going the intersection point between a dual sign and a Chara Rashi, are all of these junction points are very important. 3rd to 4th, 6 to 7, 9 to 10th, because these are great leaps. These are great spiritual leap you are taking, going from the 9th bhava to the 10th bhava, going from the 3rd bhava to the 4th bhava. What is that 4th bhava that Eve also said? It is about proliferating, propagating. It's about progeny. What is Chitra? It is more about fortifying your existence here. And what is Uttarachada? It's going into the final realm. Because if you see the Navamsha, those 4 Rashis are Shiva Trimurti Nakshatra Rashis. So Punarvasu is not a normal nakshatra that you have to understand. And that is why the Punarvasu has the power of all the 3 Murti embedded within Punarvasu. Because what is the most important mantra for Punarvasu is Omkar. Omkar has originated in Punarvasu Nakshatra. A kar of the Om is Brahma. U kar is Vishnu. Ma kar, which is dissolution, pralaya, laya, is Shiva. A, U, Ma.
Dr.
Yes.
Pai, I believe it's even the bija for
It is a
Punarvasu.
bija. It's Pranav bija.
It is. I thought so. Yeah, you're right. This is very
So-
profound. Well, that would be the
so-
mother of the gods, Omkar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She is the origin. She is the Om, which means whatever follows Om will give you a multiplier effect. which means whenever you say Om and you say any Bij Aksharas after that, it is going into a loop. It is going into Aditi's realm. That's why Aditi was saying everything begins with me and ends with me. Om is that Pranava Bijakshara mantra. That's why it is placed before, it is not placed after, because whatever comes after it, it goes into a loop. It keeps repeating itself. In the Akash Tattva, it keeps repeating multiple times. It's got, see, the word again here is Chitra Nakshatra, fourth pada. The word is Re. All the energy of Punarvasu starts in English language with Re. If you see, rejuvenation, renewal, repetition, right? Revival. So all these words where you see, and also Punarvasu is that nakshatra. If I say from omens, if somebody said, I had a deja vu is Punarvasu. If you see a rainbow is Aditi. It is very rare to find a rainbow. In a rainbow, when you see a rainbow, make a wish, everybody says. Why? Because whatever you wish for is multiplied. Okay? Shiva as Dakshinamurti is Punarvasu. Have you ever thought about it? Why Dakshinamurti? He's sitting and facing towards the south, and he is in silence. And all that you can see from him is emanating his Omkar, because that's why it's called as Omkareshwar. Ishvara, from where he's come out from Omkar. That's why it's called Omkareshwar. He's just sitting there. He's not even speaking a word, but the rishis are sitting at his feet and are getting a download. It is like something is reverberating in their minds, and there is tons of information that is flowing to them. That's why Punarvasu is also patterns. Sacred geometrical patterns, which are called as mandalas, yantras, are also fractals. There are smaller objects within the larger objects in the yantras, isn't it? Which means you have a square within a triangle, within a circle. What are these? This is the construction of the mother. So it is we are symbiotically related to God. Atma cannot be there without Paramatma. And Paramatma is nothing without Atma, which means all the collective Atmas makes Paramatma. Isn't it? Ultimately, every river that flows has only one destination, to go and meet with the ocean. Every soul has only one destination, is to go and merge with the Paramatma. But how we flow here, that is our choice. We have choices to make. But when we start taking chances, that is when people need Jyotishis. That's why they come to Jyotish asking, okay, what choices should I make? Is it very hard to make choices here? It's very easy to take chances. If you're taking chances, you become like Yudhishthira. Remember, Yudhishthira is Dharmaraja, but he gambled away everything. See, you can gamble away your life, but do you have the right to gamble away your brothers and even your wife? Remember, all of this was happening when Krishna was standing outside, and he only came in when Draupadi's modesty was getting, she remembered him. Why couldn't you remember Krishna when you were losing everything? Not even a thought had come to the Pandavas. Even Draupadi, when she was dragged inside, because she asked this question to Krishna, why didn't you come? He was saying, I was waiting outside. Any one of you just had to say Krishna or think. I would have been there in a jiffy. But you didn't ask for me. You will only come to me whenever you are in your final stages. You have nothing, you're drowning, you will put your last finger up, and that finger he will come and pull you up. Isn't it? So Krishna's name should be there first, not last. So we cannot gamble away anything in this life. A life is a precious thing. After 84 lakh yonis, we have got this Manushya yoni. What a waste we will be making of this life And because we have the consciousness, no other animals on this planet have consciousness to know about karmas. We can not only go through the prarabdha, we can also understand our past, and we can also go and address our future, isn't it? Which other animal has the consciousness about the future karmas that they have to go through? Only human race. So we have a responsibility, and we have to be grateful that we are born with this yoni. But we are making a criminal loss of this life, all of this, Shadripus, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. So Eve was saying the sixth house is the battlefield, because that is the house where we are battling the Shadripus, the six vices. Who can help us? Only Durga, the virgin. Virgo is Kanya. Only a Kanya. That's why we do Kanya Puja also, right? Because through Kanya Puja, we have the ability to let go of our Shadripus. All the Navaratras, the 4 Navaratras happen when sun is transiting through dual signs. When it is in Virgo, Sharad Navaratra. When it is in Pisces, sun is transiting, Chaitra Navaratra. Then we have the Ashada Navaratra and the Pausha or Magha Navaratra. Whenever it is in Gemini and Sagittarius. So totally, how many days do we have in a year? 365. So if you take 9 nights of these 4 signs, 36 plus 1, which is Vijayadashami. Vijayadashami is only once. 37 days in 365 days, which is only 10%. If you can keep your fast, you have cleansed your body, and Durga will help you and protect you from all kinds of things that can come. Only 37 days, only 10%. Because 9 into 4, 9 nights and 4 rashis when the sun is there in these 4 rashis. Sometimes things are very simple. We make it complicated. You don't need Jyotish to predict. You need Jyotish to elevate your consciousness. You need Jyotish to enlighten us the truth and the dharma that we all need to follow, which has been left behind by our ancestors. It's a self-corrective science. It's a self-awareness science. It is not just purely a science to tell you when marriage will happen, when you'll get a job. All of this is mundane. If you are into Jyotish for that, yeah, you will get your answers. But your real purpose of Jyotish is to understand this. The nakshatra composition. Are you in an awakened state? Are you in a dream state? Is your planet in a deep sleep state? Or that planet wants to achieve the Turiya? See, Rama is the avatara where everybody, there is no avatara which says he's a complete avatara and they say he is a Purushottama. That word has been used for him, isn't it? And he is the one who is also very much who follows every rule, custom. Because Krishna is a mischievous. He can break rules, he can make rules. He has a very charismatic thing.
Yeah, different.
Different. But here he's Gambhir. In Rama's pictures, you'll see he has not got a smile. He's got a serious face. Krishna's picture, you'll see a mischievous smile on his face. Right? So this avatara, which Rama, is only to bring the light of Turiya in us. I told you, it is not, Rama is not an external deity. He is an internal deity.
They say Atma Ram, and it's concealing exactly what you're speaking of, the Jagravashta, which is actually to a yogi, we're asleep. If we are awake to this world, if you are Jagrat, if you're awake to this world, you're deeply sleeping.
See, what I say, the profundity is even Aditya mentioned about Vishnu goes into sleep for 4 months. But Vishnu never can sleep. Otherwise, everything will stop. He is in a dream state. He's in a Swapna Avastha. He's not in Sushupti Avastha. He's in his Yoga Nidra. Because if he really falls asleep, everything in this universe which is happening, which is his creation, and he's maintaining it, will shut down.
When we go to sleep to one thing, we wake up to another thing. So this is it's a very deep concept, and it's why it's always contemplated in Yoga Shastra.
And I am wondering, when we sleep, are we going into different realms and other multiverses where we might have another instance and we might be playing? That's why they say sleep is very important. You get good amount of sleep, you feel more energetic here. But if you don't get, maybe you're left half of your work done there and you come running back here. Where do we go in our sleep?
This is Yoga Vashisht.
Exactly.
This is because truthfully, when you go to sleep deeply, you are somewhere else.
Aditya, do you want to add something?
Yes.
No, no.
No, I'm still
Okay,
recollecting. I
great.
think what happens after sleep, that's it. I feel that we die after doing.
Right.
Yeah, don't you think so? Like we get back. Sometimes I feel maybe tomorrow I may not get up. Then what happens?
Yeah, it's a good point, right? We never know, right? So either we live like
Maybe that's the way that God makes you to remember
Right.
one day you're going
You
to.
just hit something that might be Punarvasu related that NDEs,
Oh yeah, that's right.
where people die and return.
Sorry to interrupt, Yuji. Punarvasu also very strongly I've seen connects with your Vastu Shastra because it is your space that you live in.
Space, exactly. It has that real estate link as
Real
well.
estate. It's
Hey,
a home. Yes, very good point, EJ. I wanted to interrupt because you know what? It also has the theme of refurbishment and renovation.
Yeah.
Renovation.
As soon as Trump, who has Venus and Saturn in Punarvasu, as soon as he came into White House, he changed the entire. Do you see that? It all became gold.
I think he has a gold toilet.
Yeah,
Gold.
right. Yeah, that's right. Gold toilet, wash basin, all that. Gold tubs, everything.
So can you see that?
Yeah.
That is his thing of saying that I move into the White House, I have to change everything. So he changed the entire decoration, paints, and other things. Refinement,
Yeah.
revival, rejuvenation,
Research.
research. Yeah.
Redo, yeah. Repeat.
Redo.
Right.
Read the research.
Quickly, I will mention what happened before we started this
Yes.
thing, and then Santhip, you can take over from here because he's been waiting for a very long time. So when we are just about to start this video, the fire alarm went off and the entire building, and I had to leave my home, go down, and the fire people had actually come in and they had to switch off. It was on another floor where there was a fire, it seemed that somebody was smoking in the alleyway, and that smoke caught. And then, it created that. But I had the theme of leaving my home and re-entering my home.
Yeah.
So be very careful when two things. Whenever you're traveling somewhere, you're catching a flight. So I had a friend who had this. If you're traveling on a Punarvasu day, generally they get into the car from the one door and they come out from the other door and they again come back and sit inside because they don't want to reach the airport. There has been a time when they had to reach the airport and they had forgotten to take their passport. It was Punarvasu day. They had to come back home to take their passport and go back to the airport.
Yeah, or go frequently forget your cell phone and come back home to pick it back up and leave, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Has anyone noticed Punarvasu Nakshatra being late?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it can happen. Yeah, because of that. Yeah.
Yes, I have noted this.
Great. So let's see. So I'll kind of start with a lot of points. There's a lot of interesting points actually. So one thing I want to mention was the idea of repetition, which is what Punarvasu is about, the return of light again kind of thing. So the repetition is a very deep concept that adds a lot of depth in it. For instance, when you're doing martial arts, when you're punching, you learn through repetition. You perfect a punch to the point where that movement is subconscious and you're kind of and allowing that energy to enter into subconscious and that whole movement becomes subconscious kind of thing. But however, I remember recollecting words of a friend who learned Tai Chi and all that. A Tai Chi instructor was basically telling my friend the difference between repetition and iteration actually. Now, repetition is where you just repeat the action without much feedback kind of thing. Iteration is where you're adding feedback to your repetition. Like you do the first thing, then you learn some feedback. Your second punch is not the same thing as the first punch because you have learned something new. So that's the difference between iteration and repetition actually. So definitely you have a lot of repetitive processes like the normal chores around the house and all that. But there are also iterative processes in our life in which you learn from your action, you go through the lessons from that experience, and then you gain more from it, and then there is you go through the same thing but now with additional feedback, additional lessons learned so that you don't repeat the same mistakes again and so forth. And this is a big thing here in Punarvasu. They'll have to go to the first time, they'll make a mistake, then they'll have to get feedback, then they'll go to the second time, they succeed a lot. That kind of thing can actually happen. So first attempt at something will not always be successful. So their second attempt or third attempt that something will become very successful. And it's a very considered to be a very natural kind of a thing here, here for these natives. The first attempt at the first startup they launch is a big disaster. The second startup they launch is a $100 million enterprise kind of thing, right? So that kind of thing can actually happen quite easily. So the first time they are actually scheduling something that's not working out. The second time it actually worked out. In fact, for Donald Trump, who we discussed, he did try to go for president when Obama became president, actually. Like, you know, like he did file his nomination, but he had to pull it back again. Only when it was 2016, when he repeated the same thing again, did he become the actual president kind of thing. That's why Trump is, as a Punarvasu example, is quoted quite often because of that. Now, the other thing which we mentioned in brief is the idea of fractals. Fractal is great. Fractal is very interesting because, you know, I still laugh about one phrase which EG mentioned, like fractals on crack, right? So like these natives are like literally fractals on crack. They will see the repetitive thing again. They want to see the thing again and again. So they go through the whole process again. These are the people who will basically rerun the shows, watch reruns again, watch the shows again and again. So of course that kind of thing is a fairly normal thing here actually. But fractals are a very interesting concept. Fractals is kind of pointing to a pattern which is repeating at multiple iterative stages. So you'll have the same original pattern which you begin to see repeat itself at some point in time. So that's a big point. So this is where like the concept where a god or a goddess reincarnates into like a human form and display the same quality of the god and goddess. One way or the other, that same energy is kind of repeating, going through an iterative process kind of thing is a very powerful concept actually. That something becomes very important to recognize. Like, so we talked about Vishnu incarnating, Vishnu's incarnations of Lord Ram and Krishna and all that. So, but there is like an actual fractal kind of thing going on there also. Like Krishna is a great fractal in the end. Like he's Vishnu in the end. Like, you know, mathematically describing Lord Ram is another great fractal, like a more complete fractal of Vishnu in the end, right? In terms of embodying his energies and so forth. So that's a big concept. Fractals are also very interesting because fractals, what we call as dashas, are basically fractals. The first layer, Mahadasha, the same series of planets. Antardasha again, the same series of planets. Pratyandasha again, same series of planets. So dashas are basically fractals actually. And we are using a fractal object, a fractal movement kind of thing. A fractal progression is basically used to decipher time. So big quality is that, big thing to recognize that time itself is having a fractal nature to it. It's a huge, huge point. So time itself is fractal. Time itself will have a point where like some aspects will keep on repeating until you learn the lesson. Now this is very interesting because now normally you have the concept of reincarnation. Okay, you repeat your lives so that you go through the same life lesson so that you don't make the same mistakes again. You will keep on repeating until you don't hurt someone in your life or you don't speak certain words or you don't kill another human being. Now Egyptians had it pretty bad. Like if you killed a human being, you basically would repeat your life like 100,000 times until you did not kill a human being again. You know, like that was pretty bad actually. Now, if say you robbed someone, then you would be basically repeating your life for 10,000 times until you never robbed again. You know, so that kind of thing. So this was supposedly like a training kind of thing, like the soul as it's progressing kind of thing. Egyptians would call about these great cycles kind of thing going on. Now, even they had one more worse thing which makes you think about something else actually. Every time you kill a spider, you kill like some living creature. Again, you're repeated to the same instance until you don't kill that living creature. You know, not an easy thing for many people. Like if you're beating mosquitoes and whatnot, again, you'll be reborn again according to Egyptians, like until that moment, so that you don't kill the mosquito and move on, right? So you have to figure out why is that animal touching your body, understand the lesson behind it, and then make sure you're not repeating that mistake. Like of that. That's an interesting concept actually. So quite often these natives do need the practice of reviewing things or looking at same things again and so forth. You know, that becomes a very important practice. So reviewing, restarting, so forth becomes very, very important. And quite often when you see the same pattern repeating again in your life, you always have to think, what was the lesson that I'm learning? That becomes a really important thing. What is the feedback I'm receiving? What are the mistakes I made? What can I learn from this thing? And quite often our lives are nothing more than that in the end. What do we take up in the end? Like when we die and all that, the wisdom which we carry is what is actually passed on to the next life. That's the same energy that are repeating again in next lifetime. So quite often and this is a very interesting point also, quite often if you meet someone, if you meet your old friends and so forth, the first thing that you'll always remember is what happened the last time when you met. Right? So this is a pure thing that happens also at the instinctive soul level also, anytime you meet a new person. Whatever instances happened with that particular person in past lives can also again repeat where you took off kind of thing. You're meeting an old enemy. The same person again, you hurt me this way and all that will happen. And that's when you'll actually repeat. So it becomes a very important thing for these natives to actually understand. This is a fundamental process of nature. That's the first thing I want to emphasize. This repetition process, feedback process, this iterative process is a very, very fundamental natural thing that we have to learn. And definitely you have to learn from the feedback. You have to learn from that. And the moment when you, quite often when you talk to someone, there is something called as Duda Lakshana in astrology, especially in, like when you're going for Swarna Prashna and all that. Like Swarna Prashna is where you, like, group of people handling temples, they go to meet a Kerala astrologer. Then the Kerala astrologer have to invite the astrologer to the place kind of thing. Like what the astrologer will actually do is that the astrologer, the person, okay, we would like to invite you to this particular place to take care of a temple so that you can make predictions for do the Swarna Prashna kind of thing. Swarna Prashna, the Ashtamangala Prashna is the way to correct energies in temples actually. Like this ritual is gone wrong kind of thing. So they will check that out. Now the astrologer at that point in time has to do something called Duda Lakshana, in which he writes down exactly word for word what was written. Like if the person was hesitating, if you mention everything, and there's a mathematical thing to it. Okay, this letter was used this many times. There's a maths behind it, kind of thing. And literally, so the writing down the first message that happens, and so forth, that becomes a very powerful thing. So quite often, the circumstances when you meet someone else for the first time, the omens around that circumstance, when you're interacting with the first person, kind of thing, becomes very powerful, like fractal that is going to repeat over the period of time, as far as that interaction with that energy is concerned. This thing, of course, in Swarna Prashna, this Duda Lakshana is a fundamental concept where they use this like in a technical way. They make predictions out of it. Or 5 people came, 3 people were using cream color shirt. One person was like interrupted the other main person, and all that is omen becomes a very important thing. So this is a very strong placement for omens. I cannot say it enough. They'll have this is the first entry point into Cancer sign as well, where the power of intuition, the power of omens, the power of understanding deeper flows of nature becomes very important. So this fractal is a very important concept. Fractal is a concept of omens that are actually giving you clues regarding the overall things. And these are natives will be like, yeah, I have a bad feeling about this kind of thing. I don't know why. Or like, the circumstance when you're meeting someone is not happening smooth, then that gives you a lot of clues about how things can go also. Now, other thing is that we talked about Lord Ram coming back to Ayodhya kind of thing. So Lord Ram basically, came back to his homeland kind of thing. So this is what I've seen when I've been to the US. I saw there was a thing called a homecoming actually. Like in the university and all that, they would actually have homecoming weekend where the alumni would actually come back to the alma mater, and that's a normal thing. And without doubt, Punarvasu can be linked with that particular energy. As well, you're coming back to your alma mater, you're coming back to your home, where you learned your wisdom, where you attained your education and so forth and all that. So karmas around homecoming can also happen very naturally for this native. So they might either have big events happening in their life around homecoming, or they might be involved in the homecoming team or whatnot. All that kind of thing can actually happen. Now, the other aspect is kind of very interesting because now Punarvasu is a nakshatra where repetition is very natural for these natives. And quite often, this is a famous nakshatra which they actually call out for mantra siddhi actually. So mantra is something that you have to repeat until you get that thing. So you repeat a vibration again and again. So the mantra vibration eventually penetrates your entire body, and eventually you attain enlightenment, or you attain the siddhi of the deity kind of thing, or that vibration is significantly strong, so that the vibration is now can self-organize and replicate that fractal of the deity with you kind of thing can also happen. So there's a very, very strong nakshatra for mantra siddhi actually, because these natives will naturally like to repeat. The moment they have benefit, they can actually chant mantras and attain siddhi kind of thing very easy, powerful nakshatra for mantra siddhi without doubt. And that I've seen happen multiple times. Many natives with this placement here, they can attain great siddhis or great mantras kind of thing. What will be the nature of the mantra? That kind of thing they will attain siddhis. That's a normal thing also. Now, coming back home, which Dr. Pai mentioned, is a very normal concept. Like they had to come back home. They forgot to pick up their cell phone. They forgot the keys, or they forgot that their keys are on the door. All that kind of variations of coming back home for like ordinary events can happen. Now, the other interesting thing here is that of the concept of hosting events actually. So usually one of the things you do with people in your home, like if you own a home, that is, you have to host people. It's a fairly normal thing with families to do. Like you'll have host families kind of thing. The people would host events in their home. And Punarvasu natives are the normal ones will be willing to invite everyone to the home. Hey, let's come to my home. I'll host your child. I'll host your family. That's an event where everyone can be. I'll host the thing. That's hosting karma happens very strongly for Punarvasu Nakshatra natives. And this can happen in multiple ways. Now, you can say this can happen in a homely situation where you're inviting your neighborhood, aunties and all to come with your food kind of thing, like you have a potluck kind of thing. Or you can have a simple hosting friends gathering in your home kind of thing also. That is also fine. Now, in modern day scenario, in normal podcast situations, one person is hosting the other person kind of thing. So quite often you will see these natives will have a strong podcasting kind of karma to engage in some interesting conversations kind of thing, right? So you host one event in a media kind of setup, and then you're talking about a thing, getting a conversation going on what will be the topic. So that is a very pure Punarvasu kind of thing which you see going. So this concept of having guests in your home, having guests in your podcast, having guests in your YouTube channel, that's a pure Punarvasu kind of concept again. So this karma where you have to deal with that particular energy, and that could be an actual karmic thing for them. They might have to host this person and they learn something new that opens up many other things for them and so forth. That kind of thing can also happen very easily for them. Now the other interesting thing with Punarvasu is that of so just like how Lord Ram was now Ram Lakhan or Ram Lakshman are immortal brothers. Like they are not going to go anytime soon. So Ram Lakshman and Ram Lakhan is basically fairly normal. So this concept of immortal brothers, like them, so Punarvasu native might be very close bonds with either their sibling, or they might have a friend who is having Ashlesha Nakshatra. Why Ashlesha? Because Lakshman had Ashlesha Nakshatra. That strong bond between, like a Punarvasu native and a Ashlesha Nakshatra native can happen. And quite often that bond will actually help them out. They'll face a lot of challenges and so forth. An entire Ramayana story you can write basically from that bond. Like these friends would have a challenging thing, they have to fight it out, they had enemies to defeat, all that particular thing you'll see going on. Of course, if you put what Yujiyada mentioned also about the Shatrugna and Bharat kind of thing also, those kind of characters can also happen in their life. A Shatrugna can happen in their life, a Bharat can also be in their life. So Bharat was, of course, famously taking care of that Lord Ram's kingdom until Lord Ram came back to the kingdom. So that kind of energies can be there in their life. They are away from the home, someone is staying in the home to take care of the home. Fairly normal kind of thing. The other Shatrugna can also happen. Shatrugna was someone was very protective actually. So Shatrugna protected his home. So this kind of thing. Like you have like 3-4 brothers kind of story can also happen. Like story of 3-4 siblings is fairly normal here in Punarvasu also from that perspective. Now the one interesting thing I saw because of this karma with mantras and karma at home with Punarvasu is that there's a very interesting thing that happens when you do a mantra or do a practice in your home. You do that mantra all the way to a particular temple, and then from that temple you repeat that same mantra again, and then you do the same thing there in that temple. Now the energy is getting boosted in the temple because of the deity and whatnot, and then you basically come back. You do the mantra again all along the way and bring that energy back to their home, and you repeat the process again in the temple. So I'll say it again. You say the mantra in the home, you do it all the way to the temple. In the temple, you repeat the same thing, you get boosted it again. Now the boosted thing is actually taken, or again, you're chanting the mantra again all the way to your home and saying it again in the home. This is a very powerful way to actually activate energy and more importantly, bring in an energy of a deity of a local temple to your home. Now, in ancient times, this used to be done. Like they would basically take a lamp to a temple, they will light a diya they will light a lamp or a diya or deepam kind of thing from a temple. That temple lamp would be actually brought to the home. So this was a very concept of bringing that energy of that deity to the home. And that particular diya would be maintained as an akant diya and all that. That is, diya would never be allowed to be run out kind of thing and all that. So this was a very powerful way of honoring a particular divinity kind of thing in the home and so forth. So this becomes a very interesting thing. But you can do the same thing with mantras also. Need not be a physical lamp kind of thing. You can do the same thing. But of course, the requirement is that you have to carry that mantra energy from your home all the way to a temple. You have to recite that mantra there. Now, this can be anything. This can be Om Namo Narayana mantra. You go to Vishnu temple all the way. You do it there also. Then you come back again with the Om Namo Narayana mantra and do come back home. You're bringing that energy of the deity or temple along with you. This is an actual concept. This kind of thing used to happen much more frequently. People will go to goddess temples. They would chant the mantra of the deity. All along the way, they will maintain the divinity and they would actually bring it back to their home. This was a fairly normal thing which many ancients would do, by the way, and this can be done. This is a big thing which I've seen happening also. You come across these kind of stories and like, yeah, this is a perfect Punarvasu thing, right? You're coming back home with a deity kind of thing going on, right? So that kind of thing can also happen. Now, the other thing which is also very interesting is that in Kerala, where I'm from, basically when sun enters into Cancer, in Kerala, this particular month, when sun is in Cancer, is basically called as Ramayana Masa. Ramayana Masa. Now, the reason is that within the next 30 days, you're expected to recite the Malayalam version of Ramayanam, the Tunjatharitachan's Ramayanam kind of thing, Adhyatma Ramayanam, which was written by Tunjatharitachan, the famous grammarian who created the Malayalam language, who scripted the Malayalam language and organized the whole thing. His Ramayana is basically read from beginning of sun entering into Punarvasu the next 30 days. And then by the end, the entire Ramayana is basically finished. Now, this is not a Valmiki Ramayana. This is the Adhyatma Ramayana. So this is a very interesting thing. So Kerala, everyone knows Ramayana Mass is going on. Now, interesting thing about this Kerala is that when Sun is in Cancer is when a lot of people go through their panchkarma and all that. They'll be doing they'll rejuvenating their body, they'll eliminate the toxins and so forth in Ayurveda. So in fact, there's a huge industry that happened that gets activated during that time period because the Ayurveda Panchakarma industry is very much active at that point in time. A lot of people are doing their massage and all that during this time. And this is the most optimum time according to the normal Ayurvedic thing in Kerala. So when Sun is in Cancer, that is when you do the Panchakarma thing. So all your toxins are out of your body and so forth. Now, parallel, as I mentioned, this can also be like, this is a very powerful thing to rejuvenate your body. Like, Panchakarma and all that, powerful thing to improve your body health and so forth and all that. Now, the other thing this happens also, now, of course, Ramayana Mass is also interesting because you are expected to, by the 28th day of the Ramayana Masam, you are expected to kill Ravan. Basically, Ravan dies on 20th day. That is very famous because again, Ravan. Remember the Ramayana kind of thing is basically the story that of Ram defeating Ravan and rescuing his wife Sita and all the way coming back to the Ayodhya. That's where most of the Ramayans, at least some version of Ramayans, end there actually. That is one version. The rest of them are local legends, folklore, and all that kind of things basically happen. So Ravan is exactly killed on 20th day. What is special about 28th degree of Punarvasu, of Cancer sign? That's the exact point where Mars is debilitated actually. So you can see how you're overcoming your inner Ravan and all that exactly on that day kind of thing. So at least the genius who figured that Ramayana Mass, Adhyatma Ramayana thing out, you can see how that was done actually. That's a great, very interesting thing actually. And of course, other religions have copied that thing since they started calling, Karkat Mass as the Bible Mass and all that. So again, other religions start to repeat as expected, So they're trying to integrate the culture and all that. So that also has happened. But anyway, but having said so, the Ramayana thing is something you see, and this is a very unique thing. Now, this is one thing pointing to a very, very interesting thing also. Now, before you do the Ramayana thing also, before you engage the Ramayana reading on that day, the first time you will do is that you'll open the Ramayana and see what Lord Ram want to tell you, right? What does Lord Ram want you to know? You begin your thing by opening some random page, and Lord Ram will say some story is being shared. That is the message which Ramayana has for you, kind of thing. And that is one thing. And then when you go to the end, when you finish the entire Ramayana kind of thing, then again you open up the Ramayana page and see what is actually happening. What does Lord Ram want to tell you kind of things and the practice actually. And again, the same book is referred to. You repeat the same process. Again, perfect Punarvasu themes. And you look at what is actually that message actually being shared. And then quite often the message will be different. Like first time it's like, Sita Vidha Dukkha. Next time you are like coming back to Ayodhya or like you are defeating some Asura kind of thing and all that. So various messages can happen. This is also pointing to the process of divination actually. Process of using the same book again and again. Or interacting with an oracle card. Also, quite often these natives are great tarot card readers, all that kind of stuff that can happen. Not that I'm endorsing tarot cards, depends upon the energy of the tarot you're dealing with. But again, this kind of thing can actually happen. You can use like a book, you can use Ramayana. People use Ramayana for prediction, people use Bhagavad Gita for prediction. Things like that can happen. Ramayana is a very famous book used for prediction, especially if you're doing some Ram sadhana and all that. In fact, I remember having a client who would just basically read random Ramayana every day kind of thing. And on the day when I was actually talking to that guy, I asked him which story you read today kind of thing. And then he basically said this particular story. And that is perfectly matching the themes of him meeting an astrologer. It's Jupiter in the 9th house. Whatever the 9th lord was doing in the chart was perfectly matching those themes, whatever you read in the Ramayana story. So quite often, Ramayana is a very profound text if you get into that. So I cannot say that enough. Even the local translated versions are also having its own thing. Of course, the Tamil Nadu has the Kadamba Ramayana and all that, if I'm not mistaken, Kamba Ramayana kind of thing, if I'm not mistaken, something like that is there, which is also pretty amazing. So Ramayana kind of thing is a very interesting. Now, what happens in Kerala? Kerala is a very unique place for the four brothers separately have their own temples in Kerala. You have one temple for Lord Ram, which is the Trikakara temple, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Trikakara temple in Ernakulam and Cochin is basically Lord Ram's temple. There is another temple for Lakshman. There is another temple for Bharata. And there is finally another temple for Shatrughna. So interestingly, when you go to all the four temples, the prasad you get is different. Like I remember, like in the Bharat's temple, you will basically get brinjal actually. Like a brinjal kind of thing is basically the prasad. And apparently brinjal has a lot of like cleansing effects and so forth, something like that. And then there's some interesting thing like that. And Shatrughna.
Triprayar is for Ram.
Yeah, Tripurayar. Thank you for correcting that, Aditya. Trikakara is Vamana avatar, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Tripurayar is for Ram. Yes, correct. Both temples are close by to each other, so I got that wrong. So Tripurayar is for Ram. Yes, correct. It's a very famous temple. Tripurayar is the Lord Ram temple. So even when you're doing that, and this is called as Nala Ambalam. Nala means four, Ambalam means temple. So Nala Ambalam temple, these temples are called as four temples actually. This four temple circuit you have to begin. You go to Ram temple, then you go to Lakshman temple, then you go to Bharat's temple, then you end by the end you go to Shatrughna temple. Quite often you go to Ram and Lakshman in the morning, and then Shatrugna, Bharata and Shatrugna in the evening. So that's how long it will take also. Like, it'll be packed, and now suddenly all over India crowd are coming in Kerala. That temple circuit becomes very alive at that point in time. Ramayana Mass, it's a big thing. Like everyone, there are no temples unfortunately, there are no other 4 temples for the 4 brothers anywhere else, actually, which is a sad state of affairs, but that's the reality, actually. So it's interesting, actually, but you see that kind of thing going on. So this is a pure thing, pure Ramayana thing, pure Punarvasu thing, and I cannot say this. And every year this whole thing repeats. Like every year the same people come again. So it's a local thing here, or you are going to the Nalambalam thing, fairly normal local thing here. So which is very, very interesting, actually. Now, the other thing which is about Lord Ram is also kind of interesting because I remember one of the pages which came in this Ramayana kind of thing, right? One of those things was actually how Lord Ram was about. So Vibhishana approaches Lord Ram. He wants to defect to like Lord Ram. He's done with Ravan and all that. And then Hanuman is like telling Lord Ram, we cannot trust Vibhishana. He's coming from Ram. He's Ravana's brother after all. He's Asura and all that. But Lord Ram actually tells him, look, you have to, he's still a messenger, he's still a guest right now. We still have to give him the respect that is owed to a guest. We have to treat him, we have to host him kind of thing. We have to at least listen to what he has to say kind of thing going on. So this is an actual Punarvasu thing, listening to, being open to what your enemies have to say, right? That kind of thing becomes an actual thing. Like you would expect Vibhishana, who's an enemy, like normal person would be like, okay, no, you can't, he's an enemy, cut him out, right? So, but Lord Rama is willing to listen to the other opinion kind of thing. And this is a fairly normal thing. So these are natives who are fairly normal when they might host different people in their home or host like enemies for the family and all that. That kind of drama can actually happen quite easily. At least engage in conversation with that kind of group. That kind of thing can actually happen. So this Vibhishana story was kind of interesting also because of that. The other thing which EG actually mentioned, that text also showed up in our conversation today, was that of Vasishtha Yoga kind of thing. I cannot say this enough. Lord Ram is directly linked with Punarvasu Nakshatra. His training was by sage Vasishtha, and the entire thing is called as Vasishtha Yoga. You can actually buy that book. You can actually read that book. Of course, you need that book has much more deeper layers to it kind of thing. So people with this placement, I encourage them to read through Vasishtha Yoga at some point in their life. I cannot encourage that.
It works with Ram's depression.
That's right. That's correct. Exactly correct. So it helps him out with that a lot. So the moment when the Vasishtha Yoga as a text is basically referred to, when they connect with that energy or text, they literally are purifying their own energy. They're able to come out of their depression. A lot of good things happen from that perspective. Now, we all have a Lord Ram in us. We all have the depressive tendencies in us also. Definitely you read it once, then you will never have depression, because now you're like, yeah, you're seeing the multiverse of realities and all that. And yeah, this earthly plane you're beginning to see for this. That kind of thing you're beginning to see. So Vasishtha Yoga is a very powerful thing here. The other thing I want to say was that of, one thing I'll just mention quickly here. We assume plants and trees to be, well, let me come back to this again. So I'll just honor Punarvasu right now. Now, the cat is a big thing here in Punarvasu. So interesting thing was that at what point does a belief bring you down, right? At what point does sacredness brings you down? It's like bringing your own existence to like a turmoil kind of thing. This is a very interesting example of like Egyptians' history. Like when Egypt was kind of declining, one of the things that happened was that one of the reasons why it happened was that when the Islamic armies were conquering Egypt kind of thing, then for the Egyptian people, the cat was sacred. So what the Islamic army would do is that, what the like Arabian armies would do is that they would basically throw cats at the Egyptian army. Now for them, oh my God, it's a cat, we can't kill it kind of thing would happen. So in between the Arabian army would basically slaughter the Egyptians. So it's very interesting actually. At what point do we need to reevaluate your beliefs kind of thing? In what context is it relevant kind of thing? This is a real challenge here actually for this native, because are you going to bring back a particular belief that happened in a region which is suited to the region again to your homeland or a new land? That kind of is it relevant in the situation like war and all, where your own entire existence is in question kind of thing. Interestingly, I happened to hear this also, like one situation which the Islamic armies in India also, what they would do is that they would, when the Martanda Varma, the king of Travancore, of like old Kerala king, was being attacked, the Islamic armies would basically put Brahmins in front. Now the warriors cannot kill Brahmins, oh my God, they are messengers of God kind of thing. So what Martanda Varma finally had to do was that he had to hire like mercenaries kind of thing. What he did, one more thing apparently, this guy apparently hired like Shudras to be in front. Now Brahmins are like, oh my God, we can't touch the Shudras. Brahmins ran away. So clearly then the army attacked kind of thing. So this whole belief thing, right? How practical is this belief kind of thing going on? That becomes a real challenge for these natives. This is the old way kind of thing. Do we go back to the old ways in this day and age? At what point, what are the old ways?
The purity thing, getting caught up on the virtue and the purity, because that nakshatra is linked with punya.
Yeah, exactly. So at
There
what
could be a subtle greed, actually. There could be a little bit of subtle greed for that purity. That's just an odd thing to contemplate. People willing to die for that idealism. There could be more going on.
yeah. Yeah, so that's a very interesting point, right? So if you're a warrior, what is your protection? Are you going to honor the purity or are you going to honor your duty kind of thing, right? So that becomes interesting actually. So what is the ground reality situation? This is a real challenge for many of these natives because they actually face that. Okay, I'm dealing with someone who's like who my community says to banish, but then then how do you deal with that energy, right? That kind of thing becomes a real challenge for the natives. Now, the other thing from a Lord Ram perspective is very amazing because we are living in a time where, the Ram Janmabhoomi kind of thing has happened. So it was a very interesting thing to observe also. Like, never have I seen like one temple being celebrated all around the world. Like, all, in fact, like, like, okay, of course, in India, you would expect it. But apparently, like, a lot of temples in USA were celebrating it, all that kind of thing. So it was all over the world kind of thing going on. So Lord Ram's temple being reinstated in Ayodhya and all that is a big thing. Of course, that was a very interesting thing, actually. So, like, the coming back of a temple, coming back of an old energy back to its original state, or at least honoring that energy in that particular land is a big thing. Now, from that perspective, without a doubt, I can say for these natives, they will actually, whenever they go to Ayodhya, it's a great thing. Now that the temple is also there, I cannot emphasize this enough. So literally, I encourage them for these natives to go to Ayodhya, get that darshan of the deity, and that's a big blessing. And without a doubt, I've seen whoever goes to that temple, they come back, it's great. It's like a great kind of thing that happens in their life, some rejuvenation, some great aspect as expand into life kind of thing going on. Now, also now coming to a slightly more lighter kind of note. So Punarvasu, of course, they love to live in this fantasy world. They love that purity world as Evji mentioned and all that. So usually these are natives who live through memes, right? They'll be perfect in memes. They'll actually communicate through memes. They'll be sending the like movie memes and all that, which you have no clue what's going on. They'll be sending you the cat memes and all that. Regularly. Cat memes are a very normal thing. They're sending you random cat reels, cat videos, pretty normal for these natives. Having interaction regularly with cat kind of energy is very normal. Of course, you might have cat pets, you might have cat wallpaper, you might be a cat lady also, all that as Ivji mentioned. But this cat thing becomes a very important thing in the digital life kind of thing, to be frank. Cat is a constant presence in the digital thing, and that is a pure Punarvasu thing. You'll see that these natives will have cats. They'll have a cat thing, they'll have cat-shaped headphones, everything, that kind of thing. That kind of cat thing will come up very strongly for these natives in many ways. Now, of course, these natives love to live in that Jupiterian kind of world, fantasy world, and so forth. So people who speak in terms of Lord of the Rings things or Star Wars themes or Star Trek kind of thing and all that, which is fairly interesting. Now, Lord of the Rings definitely has like elves who have bow and arrow. So these are natives who would want to be elves, right? Who will be dressing up as elves and so forth, like during Halloween time and all that. It's like probably some bow and arrow kind of a Rashi kind of thing or a Punarvasu Nakshatra kind of thing going on. That kind of thing can happen. Now, the other aspect is actually kind of interesting here because the arrow thing is a very fascinating concept because if you carefully look at all the space agencies of the world, you see an hidden arrow there no matter what. So NASA has a hidden arrow, like A is like shaped like an arrow. Even ISRO has an arrow here. And that's an interesting thing. So, of course, that's the concept of an arrow, concept of a vector kind of thing is basically what is being captured there. There's a lot of conspiracy theories around that, but we won't go that far. Just for the timing, we can just say that the arrow kind of thing can also indicate to space. And most of the time, you'll see even the Star Trek TV show, the Star Trek badge was basically an arrow to the top, a vector to the top. So you'll find they're drawn to this arrow no matter what, and you'll see they're drawn to this particular arrow concept no matter what. And this is a very fascinating thing also. So you see that particular thing going on. So this concept of review and all that, as I mentioned, becomes very important. Now, the other aspect which is also interesting is the sign of Cancer as a sign. Sign of Cancer is the movable water sign, which is a river kind of thing. A water body that is moving always, that is a river. So quite often they will have karma with the rivers. They'll go to Kashi, they'll take a dip in Ganga, there'll a lot of things purify. They'll go to riverside, maybe Narmada or like some other river, they'll take a dip there. Now this is a very powerful thing. You can do this with any rivers. So all rivers are considered to be sisters of Ganga anyway, So like you can go to a local Tennessee river, you can go to like the DC river, Potomac river, doesn't matter. This karma of the river kind of thing can actually become very strong for them. They'll be going to a riverside, they'll be living close to a city, close by a river. They might be in London, close to Thames River and all that. This karma around that river can happen very strongly for them. Water is a planet in that particular Punarvasu Nakshatra, water house is placed in and all that. That river kind of thing will be a witness to their karma, becomes a concept here. That's one of those things you actually begin to see in Punarvasu Nakshatra also. Now, the other aspect is that of the other aspect is the problem of Cancer as a sign, and because Cancer is symbolized by crabs also, the crab mentality problem. Like, everyone everyone in the group is basically telling this, so you're stuck in that crab mentality. That becomes a real problem in Cancer. Punarvasu Pala 4 will have to encounter this problem one way or the other. Like, this is what my family thinks, everyone in the family thinks like that, or this is what my tribe thinks, this is what my country thinks, this is what my, this community group thinks or whatnot. And then having to deal with this, okay, this is a crab mental thing, how do I come out of this crab thing, right? So that kind of thing becomes a really challenging kind of. This becomes a real challenge also for these natives. Now, Lord Ram, when he was defeating Ravan, it's very interesting. One of the stories that is not that known or not as popular. Now, of course, Lord Ram famously worshipped Durga kind of thing is the legend. He famously did the Durga Puja. And Lord Ram's popularity was the reason why Durga Puja during Navratri became much more important, is what they say. Because Lord Ram worshipped Durga so that he could defeat Ravan. And previously, the other Navratri, the Chaitanya Navratri, the Navratri that would happen in March, April, was much more famous in ancient times. What we call as Kali Navratri, right, these days. So that was much more famous in ancient times. Lord Ram's puja upon the Durga Navratri, the normal Durga Puja time, became much more famous after Lord Ram's birth, is the legend actually. Now, of course, one thing that is not that known about here is that the story goes that Lord Ram is equated. This a great yogi once mentioned this particular thing. Like Lord Ram basically started by saying, so Lord Ram is trying to defeat Ravan actually, right? So he's like, both of them are very knowledgeable people. Both of them have satis for their wives. And then both of them also have both of them are very they are fairly normal and they are great bhakts and all that. But one of the things that apparently Ravan made a mistake was that now apparently there was a Lord Ram came to know that when Ravan prayed for Shiva came in the form of Ardhanarishwar form. And then, Ravan being who is, he only touched the feet of Shiva and he ignored the feet of Shakti when he was taking the blessing. So Lord Ram came to know that, okay, Ravan's Shakti thing is off. Shakti, the Devi, will be definitely on my side if I call her. So Lord Ram started the Durga Puja kind of thing at that point in time. Of course, the story goes that Lord Ram had to finally, he was doing the 107 lotuses had to be offered, and Ravan could not be defeated. So he started the Devi Puja. 107 lotus that were offered to the Devi. The 108 lotus was about to be offered, but that lotus was nowhere. So Lord Ram was willing to sacrifice his own eyes actually. And when he was about to sacrifice his own eyes, that's when Devi comes and then blesses him and enters into his weapon. And literally the next day, this was famously a Navami day. The Dashami day is when Ram was able to defeat Ravan kind of thing. So this is a very interesting thing. So this story can become real for them. They might have to face bankruptcy. They might have to go talk to people. They might, the moment when they actually deal with a thing, make the final request to a concerned authority, finally it's all sorted out kind of thing. So they have to come kind of get close to the edge kind of thing. It really happens actually. It becomes really, but again, notice it's the Ardhanarishwar kind of form which was the starting point actually. So Lord Raman did not, Lord Raman. Raman did not actually like touch the feet of both the Shakti kind of thing. So quite often you find people getting into trouble because of this all LGBT kind of words and all that, right? That's a normal kind of thing here actually. From that, they might have to deal with that kind of thing. Being Mercury, 3 padas in Mercury Rashi of Gemini. So communication karma of all this normal, what do you see, those kind of nouns and all the pronouns kind of drama and all that which you see. That kind of karma can play out for the natives at some point in time because of that. Again, their enemy was Ravan. Ravan had a problem with that. But their enemies might not be wanting the thing, but they might have to, adapt themselves and talk about that at some point in time. This can be a thing at some point in time. So this Ardhanarishwar kind of thing I mentioned. Now the Punarvasu definitely, Lord Ram famously had to go to Lanka to fulfill his destiny kind of thing also. So quite often they say Punarvasu natives will have to go to foreign lands and they'll have to come back and so forth. Now this is a typical nakshatra where I see a lot of people ask me, will I be, they are Indians who are living abroad, will I be able to come back to India at some point in time? This is a typical nakshatra where you can say at some point in time, if you have a good planet there, and planet is maturing at that age, the dasha is coming, yes, you can come back to India at that point in time. Or you can come back to your homeland at this point in time. That when Punarvasu is active, that kind of thing can also happen. Like especially you have to look at the timing, maturity, dashas and so forth. Quite often karma of coming back to home can actually play out very strongly for the natives. Either you have to come back to home to rejuvenate, you come back to stay with your parents to actually, go through your until you get a job kind of thing or something, and then you literally get a job and you go out and all that. That kind of thing can happen. Quite often when you're going through a tough time, it's very normal for many people to go back to your parents and stay until you recover, until you can stand on your legs kind of thing. This is an actual thing for the natives. They'll have to come back home at some point in time. They'll have to rejuvenate. They'll have to build themselves back up kind of thing. Can actually play out very, very strongly for the natives in many ways. Now, whether the reason for you to come back home is for good reason or for the challenging reason, that will depend upon the graha, which is what I've seen. So either you are there, like if the graha is good, where you come back home in very good terms. But if the graha is bad, you can come back home on challenging terms. That kind of thing can also happen. So something to keep in mind purely from a this perspective. Now, because they are normally extended to foreign lands. Now, remember Jupiter is having Multrivan sign in Sagittarius, which is a natural ninth of the zodiac. Now, it's very interesting. So these natives will know foreign languages. One way or other, to just come pick them up. These are the natives who are willing to journal in like French or journaling in Greek or journaling in like Sanskrit or something, because they want to keep the thoughts private. They don't want their family members to read them. Fairly normal kind of thing here actually for this native. This can also happen much more strongly there. Now, yeah, okay, now I'm getting to my final kind of thing. One thing I wanted to share, which I just mentioned slightly some moments ago, was the big idea of like secret of plants. Now, before that, I can also mention one more thing. The concept of phoenix is a very powerful concept. The concept of phoenix as the bird that has to burn itself to ashes, then it rejuvenates from the ashes. It's a big point here, actually. A phoenix is in Chinese culture is a big thing. Phoenix is considered to be the king of all the birds, even superior to peacocks, actually. Peacocks are very flamboyant kind of birds, but phoenixes are even superior to peacocks. So quite often that normal challenges kind of energy can happen from the peacock kind of perspective. But phoenix are great. And phoenix used to be always shown with a dragon. Dragon and a phoenix pearl is basically, a dragon and a phoenix having a pearl in middle is basically, you find a lot of symbology like that. So it is having a specific meaning also. It's like there's a perfect union, perfect harmony, the opposites are together kind of thing going on is what is pointing out there actually. And this phoenix is a very fundamental point where these natives will have a phoenix moment in their life. Now we all go through that. It's fairly normal. For all the natives is guaranteed. They'll have to go through, they'll be brought down to the ashes. Everything is going down for in their life. Their wife left them, their husband left them, their job left them, their boss left them. What will be the stories you can list out? Everything. One of those things will actually happen. They'll be brought down to their knees and they'll be forced to rebuild back up in many ways. And quite often it's quite as simple as that first attempt at something did not work out. The second attempt will work out quite well. These are the natives who are perfectly making great comebacks. And their comebacks will be even stronger than the previous comebacks. That's a big thing. For these natives, the sky is the limit. Now, these natives at some point in time will leave something, then they'll eventually come back to that thing. They might actually leave like, okay, I stopped, maybe I stopped playing cricket for some time. Then they retired for 1 year later. 2 years later, they are going. Tom Brady quit his like football thing. He gave back and then he has to do football thing again, right? So same thing you see kind of thing going on. So same kind of concept becomes very relevant for this native. So this idea of phoenix is a very powerful point. Phoenix was also used in very occult kind of things also in many ways. So you see that it is a very powerful point. And many ways it carried a lot of energies kind of thing. Also, a lot of Chinese stuff you see about that. If you watch a lot of Chinese fantasy shows, you'll see Phoenix is a common character there actually. The one character is the Phoenix kind of thing, that entire Chinese pantheon is basically what you will see going on there. And China have a big thing about Phoenix kind of thing also. A lot of women try to embody the Phoenix energy and all that. The Phoenix is the emperor of the people. All that kind of normal concept you see with the Phoenix world. The other thing which I want to say is the power of a plant. I'm not talking like a normal power of nature, recycling, all that. The power of a plant. Now let's look at that, right? Some of the creatures which have outlived human beings, outlived animals. If you look at a creature level, the living being that is out there is a plant or a tree. In fact, there are great yogis who think about like a plant. Human beings are nothing more than energetic flowers waiting to bloom. Energetic plants. The chakras are the flowers and so forth is basically what they actually say. So this is a very important point. So quite often the presence of certain plants, presence of certain flowers in certain households, presence of certain kind of, there are plants which are called as much more spiritual, much more beneficial and so forth. This is a real thing. In fact, when we look at plants as being unintelligent, definitely they do carry tamas energy, not moving as much as an animal, all that is there. Plants are extremely intelligent. Plants can be extremely spiritually powerful. And plants can actually purify a lot of karmas for you as well. Now, of course, in nakshatra, we have a category called nakshatra trees and so forth, but that is a very pure thing. That karma of the nakshatra can play out through that trees also. So, for instance, Punarvasu is bamboo kind of thing. If you have a malefic plant in Punarvasu Nakshatra, you try to grow a bamboo, you're having problems with bamboo. You know that bamboo is actually having you a tough time. Now, along you're trying to grow the bamboo in your home. Now, of course, you don't grow bamboo in your home. That's the first thing. Bamboos grow, multiply, and not recommended according to Vastu and all. You grow bamboo in a small pot. Interestingly, the bamboo, you can get the bonsai bamboo and all that, the dwarf kind of plants and so forth. Dwarf is also interesting to think about how Aditi gave birth to Vamana avatar. So the only one of the plants that is made into like a bonsai is basically like that of a bamboo also. So you see that kind of thing going on. So that bonsai concept is bamboo and all that you can have. Now, you'll see that the moment when you're taking care of bamboo, you're taking care of like one of those plants linked with your nakshatras and all that, your karmas are also playing out through that plant. Now, that's the default thing. But what I'm trying to say is that if you go to a home, you're seeing certain flowers like hibiscus flowers, which is the favorite flower of goddess Kali, favorite flower of Ganesha, you can immediately confirm there is a blessing of that deity or that god or goddess in that home. Now, say you have a curse of that god or goddess in that home, like that karma of that energy form and all that great. You try to grow hibiscus, it just won't grow. One of the great things you can always do is like you grow a lotus plant. Now, the houses which have lotus plant, if they're actually able to grow, one of the best things to activate that energy is that Lakshmi will be there forever as long as the lotus is alive, is blooming in your home. If you have certain flowers like Lord Krishna is Vishnu's favorite thing, which is Tulsi actually. If now the houses where they have a problematic karma with Jupiter, the problematic karma with Vishnu, they try to grow Tulsi, it just won't grow. Now, this can be, you can always say that in different climatic situations like USA and all that, it's tough to maintain Tulsi, all that argument can be put forward. But even if you grow it indoors, also you give it water, put it across sunlight, you'll still have a problem. That's a big point. So here I'm trying to say that, and now the big thing here is that the presence of a plant can indicate blooming of certain energies much more strongly. So this is a very interesting point also. So it reminds me of a temple thing actually. A temple where when the shaman, a new shaman came, a new shaman was able to show up in that temple. Like in Kerala, you have this oracle shaman tradition and all that. When the new shaman showed up, a pond that never had blooming flowers in it started to bloom lotuses kind of thing. This is a very interesting concept. You have a very deep link. So the new shaman carrying the energy of the goddess, the oracle energy showed up, the flowers blooming parallel to that. But that particular event. And so can we think that it was the blooming of the flower that activated the event? Many people say, oh, shaman showed up and the flower actually bloomed. But in reality, we should be thinking the opposite. Presence of Tulsi is actually growing a Vishnu thing. You have Jupiter problems, you grow Tulsi, or Jupiter problems are getting solved. Believe me, this is a big concept. In fact, there were ancient, much more spiritual flowers and spiritual plants that, and you can find these kind of plants in stories like the plant that was worshipped, the Kalpavriksha and all that is very famous. But however, there was stories of plants which the flower when it bloomed once in 10,000 years it would bloom kind of thing and all that. And people from all of the kingdoms would actually come to get the sight of this flower so they can get the blessing of this flower. And keep this in mind, we look at plants in a downward fashion, but this can be huge. The presence of certain plants in your home can invite very specific spiritual energies much more easily, to be frank. So this was a normal thing for Rishi. They were living in forests and they had a lot of plants blooming around them kind of thing. They were inviting a lot of powerful energies actually. And this is very purely seen in Punarvasu Nakshatra because here is a nakshatra that is falling in a Mercury Rashi, which is green. It is also carrying Jupiter energy, which is wisdom actually. So this is the green that is carrying wisdom energy. The plants that are actually carrying wisdom. And this is a huge point. I'm not talking, of course, you have the plants that can, drug addicts kind of thing. I'm not going the entheogen path and all that. I'm not doing the side rings and all that, nothing like that. But I'm telling you, there are certain plants, if you just bloom, lotus flower, for instance, great Tulsi kind of thing. Or if you have favorite flowers of Shiva, favorite flowers of certain gods and goddesses. Those flowers, those plants can actually bring a lot of big spiritual energies in your life. Quite often when people are telling me like, okay, I don't feel like I want to get married. I feel like I'll just do nothing in my life. I ask them, have you grown a flower in your life? Have you grown a flower? Have you developed Venus energies? Have you taken care of a flower kind of thing? The moment when they actually have taken care of a flower, the Venus energy they are growing, immediately you see that. Okay, then they're like, I want to get married. When is the new guy showing up and all that? That's when you'll actually see that kind of thing.
That's what I have to do, I guess, now.
Yeah, definitely grow flowers, right? So actually grow flowers. In fact, I would encourage to grow red flowers for starting point, then grow yellow flowers to actually have red flowers for wealth. Don't grow roses with thorns in it, but grow any other red flower. You actually can grow yellow flower for Jupiter and kind of energies, which is well-being and all that. And then finally you grow white flower for wisdom actually. So Saraswati is given white flowers kind of thing and so forth. So this karma, like given the corresponding flower to that corresponding deity also becomes a big thing. But I cannot say this enough. the moment you start, there are certain trees. We normally think of trees and plants as a something, like, but that's the opposite. The moment you start to prioritize trees, the moment you start to look at flowers and so forth, the kind of prediction you can make is amazing. A house where there's mango tree, for instance, is carrying Purvabhadra energy very strongly, actually. For instance, it's carrying Aquarius energy, you can easily claim that. There'll be like that kind of thing. A blessing of Shiva can be claimed in that household from that perspective. Famously, the goddess Lalitambika is actually residing in Kadambavana, as it's called. Kadambavana Vasini is how she is described, actually. You grow a Kadamba tree, you might have goddess Lalitambika's energy coming in your home. This kind of thinking can be done, and you can do more than that. So this is something I want to emphasize today. This is a big thing. I cannot emphasize plant as a remedy. So of course, do the normal recycling thing and all that kind of thing. Grow more plants, take more greenery in your life, all that. Green calms you down, all that kind of thing I can say. But this is one thing. And of course, as just to add to what Dr. Pai mentioned, refurbished kind of thing, renovation thing. Punarvasu natives do like to have refurbished products kind of thing. They'll buy refurbished, you will say refurbished computer, old phones used by someone else, that kind of thing can also happen, refurbished phones and all that can also happen. But anyway, so this is what I have to share for Punarvasu. So yeah, the karma of a host also, as I mentioned, have you invited an unwanted guest to your home? That becomes a very strong point in Pusha, but Punarvasu is a starting point in that particular thing. That kind of thing also I can encourage. Okay, so this is what I have for Punarvasu, and he will have some final concluding remarks. It's a long video. So yeah, we'll go ahead. Yeah, Dr. Pai, anything you would like to add?
Yeah, Santhip, I think you have really, you always bring the nuggets out in the end. You can always find the pearls not floating up. They're always at the depth of the ocean. At the depth, you'll find the pearls. So I think those are pearls of wisdom. And two things which came up as you were speaking. I wanted to speak about a couple of additional points to what you have said. One, Punarvasu Nakshatra is something which will give us a deep insight to really think whether it is a mother which is giving birth to a child or whether it is a child who gives birth to a mother. Because a woman is not called a mother until she delivers a child. So do you think a child delivers a mother instead of saying a mother delivering a child? Because we know the principle that Aditi gave birth to Brahma and Brahma gave birth to Aditi. So which came first, the chicken or the egg? So Punarvasu is always this dichotomy of saying who is the child, with the child came first or the mother came first. So this gives me a sense to say that many people who work in the process of birthing and death, you have midwives and death doulas. Death doulas are sending you back into another womb, basically. They're helping you to transcend from this world and take you to another womb. You can't see that you're pushing them into a womb, but you can see that there's a transformation energy. Death is not the end. Death is the beginning of a new journey beginning. So Punarvasu means again and again, again and again. So you're going back to midwife who brings the child, a doula, and also a dead doula. So this is one thing. Because,
did you know?
What?
I don't think it knows.
Did you really not know?
I don't think.
No,
I
about
have
what?
to show you because I have to show you. I showed them earlier.
Okay.
I got
Oh, wow.
the day of this video.
Oh, fantastic. So we're talking about dead doula. And you
Yeah,
got
you didn't
my dead
know?
doula.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is,
So-
yesterday, 20th.
That's
of
very
October.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I saw it today though.
Death doula is something like that. I came to know now. I thought death
That
doula is
just
some name or
surprised me.
Yeah,
something.
I
You
heard a
said
birth
that.
doula. I never heard that doula. It's interesting actually. It's interesting. Yeah.
No, dead doula is somebody who helps you to give you a birth in the next life, which
That's
means
what
they're
when you
taking
told,
you.
I came to know now. That's why I was searching. Is it really a word, something? And it is.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. I was
Oh,
just
yeah.
that's really perceptive. I'll edit this, but
Yeah, that's fine. The other thing I wanted to add is the concept which I think Aditya has already spoken, but we have to look at this as there would be many instances where Punarvasu people are people who probably would leave their home, leave their city, leave their land, go to other places. They might go in very humble ways that they don't know, but they can come back with a lot of wealth and abundance. It's just like how Rama, he went, but his brother went and brought his footwear back. So there might be a link with footwear coming back, because for 14 long years, Rama's footwear was actually on the Simhasana. It was not Rama. And this is, as per the esoteric traditions, they say that the throne always was the seat of all kings from the solar dynasty.
Mm.
There was not even a void in the solar dynasty before that. So for 14 long years, it was a Devi who rules the footwear, who sat there and who ruled the kingdom. Paduka Devi.
That's interesting.
Right? So because Bharata didn't sit there. Actually, Bharata is from the solar dynasty. He should have sat on the throne, but he didn't sit there. So remember, there might be a gap in Punarvasu people's life when they have to let go of their throne and somebody else will step in and will rule or will run the show for them in their absence. That's one thing. But while he came back on Pushpaka Vimana. That's why you see a strong connection with aeroplanes. So people who probably went barefooted from the house, but when they came back on a flight, or they came back on something which is like a aeroplane, helicopter, something like that. Because they became so wealthy, they became so prosperous. So to realize that return, they had to leave their home to go away. So there are two concepts: footwear, and then return by air means, because Rama didn't come by walking. He was sent back with Vibhishan after saying that take the Pushpa Vimana and go to. He landed on the day of Amavasya. So because he was landing on Amavasya Tithi, because they didn't have aerodromes which have lights, the people lit the entire Ayodhya with lights to make them realize that this is where he has to land. Do you see what I mean? Because it's the darkest night. So Rama's return coming back on Diwali day is lighting of lamps, is to say to Rama, this is your Ayodhya, come here. Right? So aerodrome.
Interesting as far as the battle between technology and nature. Because it seems that Bharat, the land, they didn't have the same technology as Ravan.
Yeah, they didn't.
And they even had the power of holograms, the way it sounds. Because what is Ravana's sister says that she's not doing her shape-shifting. She says she's not changing form by Siddhi. She explains it to them that she's not using Siddhi the way that they understand it, as if it's a technology. That's just interesting, that's all. I don't know what that means, but it does seem like there's some element of that happening. Such as Ravan knowing of Bharat, but them not knowing of Lanka.
Yeah.
That's
true.
Worth noting. Aditi with the Ashtavasu, the Vasus as well, are all these elemental natural
Gods.
forces. Yeah, that's interesting.
That's great. One last point I wanted to share is how symbology in nakshatras can be a very important thing, especially when you're designing logos. Amazon, if you see,
I was looking there too. Yeah.
yeah, see, I took it from here. If you can see, for this is Amazon. You can see Punarvasu Nakshatra. They have the Lagna. This is from the public charts, right? So if you go and see here, Amazon, the first logo of Amazon was like this, like a river going or something. I don't know what. This is their logo. They didn't do well. They went almost into bankruptcy during this time. Look at this logo. Then they built this logo in 98. Then 99, it is like, Satabishak Nakshatra, like a circle. Then just from 2000, when the arrow came, that's when the success, it became a till, 1998, 2000, they were almost going bankrupt. And here, if you can see, it just says Earth's biggest bookstore, from being a bookstore today to being selling everything. Can you see here, this didn't give them any success, this logo.
Yeah.
They almost went completely bankrupt. Right? So very interesting. The arrow has come from 2000 onwards. And you see they have made the arrow even more bolder in 2024, more solid. Here it was very weak. Now look at this arrow, what they've made. And look at that, it is joining A and Z, from A to Z, and Ma in between. From
Yeah.
A to Z. That means we cover anything from A to Z. It's a beautiful thing, right? That innovation there. So this is something that, logos and logo designing might also, if you can think from a perspective, that will be. And the last thing I want to say is a tip I want to give for all of those people who wants to use the power of Punarvasu. See, in Punarvasu, we talked about, Santhip, and most of us, we have discussed about Vak Siddhi. Now, in the Tantra realm, there are actually 4 methods of doing japa. I don't know if you are aware of it. The first method, which is everybody knows, is called as a Vikhari. Vaikari. Vaikari is actually articulated speech, which means audible vibrations, spoken manifestation. So mantras which are spoken loudly is called as Vaikari. The next, which is if you do 108 times Vaikari, that is the number is 108. But if I do it Madhyama, the second is the middle, the mental speech, which means in thought form. You are able to repeat that without even moving your lips, and you're repeating the mantra in your thought form. That is called as Madhyama. Okay, that is inner articulation of the words and ideas or sounds. The third is called as Pashyanti. Pashyanti means if you're able to visualize that thing, you are not repeating, you can't hear anything, sound is not in thought form. Now, if you can see the words appearing in light, the same mantra appearing in light in your thoughts is called as Pashyanti. That is more on the subtle vibrations. That is your intuitive perceptions of sound and light. And the fourth, which is the most difficult, is called Para. Para means it's related to Parabrahma. That means it is the supreme form, that is the unmanifested, which means you can't even think. The mantra is not coming, but you want to say the mantra, but the mantra is not manifesting. It is unmanifested, but the intention is there, which means the source, when you do the mantra by Vikhari, it is at the throat chakra, Vishuddhi. When you go into Madhyama, it goes to Anahata chakra. That means everything what your thought patterns are visualized the mantra at the heart, within the heart.
Yes, potentially. Yeah.
Then Pashyanti is when you're seeing the light of the mantra coming in.
Yeah.
So the divine, which means we are talking about astras, which is like Brahmastra, Pashupatastra, they are all done in Para. Nobody can do it, with vibration, sound. It is not done in the mind. It is not done. It is Para. So you had to be trained to do that mantra in Para. So I told you the 4: Vikhari, Madhyama, Pashyanti, and Para. So Punarvasu is Omkar. So you put anything in Para in front of Omkar, then what happens? So if you're doing Vikhari 108 times, the power is 108. If you're doing it Madhyama, it is 108 times 108 is the number you are getting when you are doing it in thought form. When you are doing it in visual light form, it is 108 to the power of 3. And when you do it Para, it is 108 to the power of 4. So if some yogi was saying, I have done this japa millions of times, then they are doing Para. It is not the physical thing that they're doing. We sit with the japmala and we say 108, okay, I've done now 108, another 108 I'll do. But at that level, the sound itself is unmanifested, but mantras are in Para for them. So 108 times to the power of 4, which also, and then Para is Adya Shakti. Adya Shakti is more Kundalini Shakti, Para Shakti.
Parashakti, yeah, Adya
This is
Parashakti.
Aditi.
They
This
are.
is Aditi.
It
It's
has
very
to be.
very, very subtle energy, but
Very, very
very
subtle, because that is not, see, the first level is on the gross body, Stula Sharira.
But you can go, I will say.
You can go. The second level is Sukshma Sharira, which is on the astral body.
Yeah, the Purana
The
Sharira.
third is the causal body.
Yeah.
And the fourth is the unmanifested. Because it is not there on this plane of the, even in the Karana Sharira, which is the causal body. People can go very comfortably till the causal body, but who can train you to do the para?
They say you can't cross that abyss by yourself. That's actually
That's-
where you need the guru.
You need a guru.
That point, yes.
And if you need that guru need not be in their physical form. They can be in their Karana Sharira, and from there they can be sitting anywhere in this universe and control your Kundalini Shakti activation that is happening. Because Kundalini Shakti is not present here. It is there as levers. They have the access to control that energy, because energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It is only transferred from one form to another. When you are doing even Pashyanti, they are called as Shata Avadanis. Have you heard of that word, Shata Avadani?
No.
No? Okay. The monk
That's
might be
it.
sitting in Pashyanti mode, which means he's visualizing something. And then 100 different things are thrown at him, which means a bell is ringing at a particular time 5 times. Then somebody is, a conch shell is blown, okay, 2 times. Then a bell, somebody is asking a question. So Shata Avadani means 100 different experiences they're going to have, which means somebody can ask any question they can ask from. Then the Shata Avadani can open his eyes and then start answering and telling, okay, the 65th event was a question on this subject by this person who was sitting there, and this is the answer. The 54th one was this, and the 60th event was 10 bells. Like that, they can remember all of that when they are in the state of Pashyanti. That requires many years, which means decades, and they are trained from when they are 5 years old.
That'd be a very specific attainment. That's a
That's a
certain.
siddhi.
Good, yeah.
Punarvasu.
Good,
You know,
good, Aditya.
you all remember when you do calculus, you do Simpson's 1/3 rule, iterative method.
Go ahead.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember that
I
in
don't know.
calculus.
Yeah.
Thomas Simpson. And when I checked his chart, he has Punarvasu, Venus in Punarvasu.
Oh, interesting.
There's that Venus again. It's
Venus
strong.
again.
Strong in Punarvasu. Moon and Venus become very strong in
Strong.
Punarvasu.
The next point, Dr. Pai mentioned that Rama came by aeroplane, Punarvasu theme, right? Our friend, Mr. Trump, he also got an aeroplane recently.
Oh boy.
You know that? By Qatar government?
Qatar government, 400 million.
Saturn and Venus in Punarvasu.
Right.
So there's concept of some aeroplane when Dr. Pai was saying, yes, Saturn. So
Yes.
with that, I saw one more point. Whenever Punarvasu will do something for voluntary service, Rama gave voluntary service to rishis.
Right.
Mm.
And he got many
Seva.
boons. Yeah, seva.
That's
Yes,
it.
Seva.
I was thinking why? Because we put Punarvasu in the first house, then the sixth
he's
house,
the ninth.
seva, is
Okay.
Yeah.
what?
Scorpio.
Scorpio.
Yeah.
Siddhis, Scorpios, eighth house, all those things you will get.
Serving
So
the guys with
yes.
speed.
So and with what he got, and many teachings, Aditya Hridayam and all those things, and Vishwamitra, he did go with Vishwamitra.
Yeah.
All that Kand, we know, Balakand happens. So whenever they do some voluntary service, maybe they are awarded with some spiritual growth, learning, teaching.
Because for
something.
Rama's chart, 6th house will have Rahu.
Yeah.
Sixth house will have Rahu. Yes. No,
What's
that
his-
one children of Punarvasu, Aditi gave birth to Vaman, who was very,
That's right.
like, out of all the, so one children of Punarvasu will be really exceptionally bright or something more, like very odd.
Yeah, that's correct.
Very, so that may happen with Punarvasu people.
Yeah, they
too.
can actually have good students, brilliant students, that kind of thing, because Vamana being
Correct.
Jupiter avatar, all that.
Yes. So that can, so what that's, so these are some of the points when he was talking, I was correct.
Nice. One more thing. Will Punarvasu have children through things like IVF, IUI, and other things? Why? Because Rama was not a natural birth. They had to do Putra Kameshti Yagna, and the pudding was giving.
That makes me think that Kunti is also under this influence of Punarvasu. It's the whole thing with the Voksiddhi, with the Rishis, with strange birth stuff.
See, even if you see Krishna's birth, they say she's also virgin, and in a way, Krishna's
Yeah.
birth was Virgin Mary, Jesus again.
Okay, great. So that's the final note. Thank you everyone for being patient. I think this is 4 hour long video. Thank you everyone for being patient, and thanks everyone.